traditions of all, which is a Cinderella story. The thing about the regional finals and match point finals for Apex is that there is no greater opportunity for a Cinderella story to arise. You've got the usual suspects already going to the ball. Alliance and GoNext, they'll see you in championships. But in a day like today, where you must win to book your ticket if you're out of qualification to championships, there's no greater opportunity to seize the moment and write your own story. The question is, because it's Apex, who's going to seize that moment? Because there is no fairy godmother coming to save you. There is no free trip to the ball. You've got to earn it, and you've got to write your own story if you want to live it. So that's where we stand here, because in EMEA, one team will have a shot at that glory today, and 19 will be set looking on the side. My name is Ray Day. I cannot wait to see how this story unfolds as we welcome you into an epic day of action here in EMEA. And I've got an amazing crew standing by with me how this story unfolds as we welcome you into an epic day of action here in EMEA. And I've got an amazing crew standing by with me as well. Gaskin, Vicky, Katie, Mark, I'll start with you, man. What a day we have here. This is what you work for. Everything comes down to the ALGS. Onset, Gaskin, Vicky, Katie, Mark, I'll start with you, man.
Brilliant. I didn't know where you were going with that, but here we are. That got me locked in.
What? I mean, Japan just around the corner. This is regional finals.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but here we are. That got me.
Of the Americas later as well.
And Dan, you know, this is just another opportunity for, you know, things to change. A cliffhanger is kind of where we left with match day 9. Teams playing so well, but the favorites knowing they're coming into this with a chance to do what we expect them to do, which is be the top contenders for it. But really, it's anybody's story here.
Anybody's story, and you're the top contender to read me nighttime stories after that intro. I think that was quite something. But yeah, today's gonna be amazing. We've had a lot of twists and turns throughout this Pro League split, but I think that today, with changes that have happened, with match point now becoming a thing, legend bans, it's all the things that start to get my juices flowing. So I'm excited for this one.
And Vicky, you know, we had to bring on the extra firepower because a regional finals day just needs the hype that only Vicky Kitty can bring. What are you most excited about heading into this Sunday?
First off, you narrating my taxes could be so interesting. I mean, we could go the distance.
It is tax season too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, and I'm so excited to be alongside you guys, because it's going to be such a fun time. I missed everyone, by the way, and we are going to bring all the hype here because it's more than just the $125,000 prize pool that's on the line. It's also performing and punching your ticket into performing on that big stage in Japan.
Well, it's just so great to kind of set the stage here. We'll have plenty more time as we jump into the top of the show before we get into game 1 to tell you about the narratives that have been unfolding throughout the split. But let's walk you through the most recent one in match day 9, where we got to see these teams participating just a weekend ago to get here. And it started out with NVMI having really a contender. You belong, in a sense, in this league, Mark, at this point when you make it to today. But there's still so much more for EMEA to prove, not just in this league, but teams proving that they belong at the biggest stage of all in Japan. That is on the line for today.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that for EMEA, it's almost like a bigger opportunity, right? Because this is a region that went to Japan and the underdog team won. So I think for EMEA, they want to go back there as a region and show that that wasn't a one-off. It wasn't an underdog story and that they can go back and do it again.
I think that's really a great point that you mentioned. A lot of people, and especially if you were in Sapporo, those stands, while they were electric all day long, maybe a little hesitant. It reminded me of a Dark Zero win where we thought TSM might grab it. Dark Zero stunned the world, win it early. And people are left there looking, saying, well, I'm witnessing history, but maybe I didn't expect it to go this way. EMEA have done that already in Japan. They want to get back and do it yet again. But let's narrow down into focusing on the teams participating today. For those watching at home, our qualified teams are so effective at doing what you need to do to get into the position to be successful here in Apex Legends, from making top 10s, being consistent across their match day finals, sometimes like Alliance, obviously winning 3 out of 9 match days, which is insane to think about. But you even look at teams like ONIC coming in with flow, VCGO, who need a little bit of movement today, SJP2, who had some highlights, and Endorse, Phoenix, and his squad with Fuda no longer with K-Swinny, and Mizey picking up that third. Can they find the synergy? Longtime pro players, but not necessarily the teams that have gotten so far into it. And I think that leads us into what these teams are really fighting for from a technical standpoint, because let's say it's SJP2, let's say it's Endorse, maybe they're a few points away from qualifying for champs. The one way to do it is regional finals, for sure. If you win, then you've booked your ticket. That's the greatest story of all. But if you need a few more points to be successful, well, this is what makes regional finals different. You actually earn more points for the same placements today than you did throughout the same placements all through your match 1 through 9 match days that have occurred throughout this split. Meaning if you're second place, you're getting 29 points instead of 21. Those 8 points could be enough to jump you from 7th place overall in the league to maybe 5th. And now you've earned enough points to qualify for the championship. So not only are we going to be paying attention to who wins the overall tournament, because that's an easy book to Sapporo, we're also going to be paying attention to if their points give them enough of a placement increase so that they can actually qualify in that way as well. So many things on the line, guys. We're going to get into it. We'll walk you through it. It may feel like a lot, Dan, but at the end of the day, we're going to let everybody know that there's a lot of ways to get to champs, and it's just really going to be up to the players on how they seize the moment.
Yeah, with APAC South and APAC North concluded now, we have a better idea of like what teams need to do to get to champs, what kind of spots have opened up because of that. EMEA benefit a little bit. Americas will benefit even more because they will definitively know what they have to do, whether it's winning regional finals, whether it's getting X amount of points. But as you said, we'll try and guide you through as it comes through today. And it's certainly going to be a nervy one for a lot of these squads.
You can't help it, Vicky. And I think the only couple of teams that are going to be feeling pretty good about today, regardless of how it goes, are the teams that have been dominating throughout the entire split, already booked for their tickets in Japan, and just looking to add more to their history performances in the ALGS. Those are the front runners for today, Vicky. So let's talk about them, as we cannot not mention them going into this lobby.
Yeah, you talk about the winningest teams, the teams that could secure a dub, the teams that find themselves finding that consistency, and the 2 teams that come to mind have to be Alliance and GoNext. Just looking at what Alliance has been able to provide for us, their average kill per game has been 6.11 kills per game. That is absolutely insane when it comes to a battle royale and having consistency. But then when you highlight Henchmen, kinda light, GoNext, another team that has found themselves with that average 5.69 kills per game. That's impressive because they also find themselves being able to secure those dubs. And then you go over to the other side. It's the back and forth between GoNext and Alliance, because Alliance, also their top map performance has been Stormpoint, being that 39.4%, literally 153 total points on Stormpoint. You look over at GoNext, and guess what? Those consistent maps have found themselves with E-District and World's Edge. E-District, they've had 150 total points throughout the course of the Pro League, and World's Edge being 117 points, 32.1% of their total points coming out of World's Edge, which is so important because not only are we moving on to a snake draft with the different map rotations that we have on our hands for today, but again, it's match point format. So you have to get those 50 points on top of that dub if you find yourself with that consistent success.
Well, I mean, that is a great kind of showcase of two teams that have just been dominant alliance. You know, I mentioned it before, 3 wins out of 9. GoNext, basically second place in every one of those wins from alliance and a few wins of their own. Really, really incredible. But let's talk about the teams, not just who are the highlights who have across the season, but who maybe are the most recent highlights, Mark, who have come into this really in form over their last few match days.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Let's talk about being in good form coming into regional finals, because that's where you need to be, right? If you want to be the champions today, you have to be in good form, and ONIC Esports certainly are in good form. And one of those players you might see on the left has been pretty good form in Sapporo last year. Zidane, a current world champion, Kizaron and Yukui are going to be the 2 players alongside him. And the reason we really want to focus on them is what you saw from the highlights right at the top of the show. I mean, match day 9 belongs to ONIC Esports. It was a phenomenal first place performance from them. And when you look back through the performance and you look by map, match by match, second place, map number 1, first place, map number 2, first place, map number 3. Then they fell off just a little bit with the 10th and 18th, but then they bring it back again with the first place, showing that they know how to win on both of the maps that we did play. So Stormpoint and World's Edge, they get those wins. And we mentioned that Stormpoint is going to be pretty heavily featured in the rotation due to its position in the snake draft. So knowing that you got a win on the board recently on that map, having put points on the board on other maps as well, you're thinking about stacking points up, hitting match point, and then entering one of those maps where you found success previously, you're going to be in a pretty good position. So keep your eye on ONIC Esports after their match day 9 performance going into regional finals. Now, next up, someone, well, 2 players and 2 people who certainly know Zidane pretty well. Of course, they were sat alongside him, Yaka and Xhako, back in Sapporo last year. And when you're looking at form, when you're looking at teams who know how to get it done on the big stage, this is going to be an opportunity for NAVI to get back to Sapporo, to make sure that they book their ticket and they're going to be in a phenomenal position to defend their crown. This, of course, was the winning moment. Known as GoNext, then the 3 players on your screen, 2 of them part of NAVI right now, but no one will want an opportunity more to go back to Sapporo, Japan and lift that trophy above their head one more time to represent EMEA and call themselves back-to-back world champions. Lots of sparklers, lots of fireworks, and lots of hype, of course, from everyone who was in Sapporo. Last up, we're looking at RoadHouse though. Aku, Lufka, and Blast. And this time we're going to look into the stats a little bit deeper, because when we're looking at match point, we have to keep it in our mind all the time. This is not a regular Pro League day. This is match point. And when you're looking at match point, you've got to look at wins. You're looking at top 5 finishes across World's Edge, E-District, and Stormpoint. Pretty balanced. The E-District points total, not quite as good, and it reflects in the wins as well. No wins so far on E-District, but overall 4th in the entire league when it comes to total wins. 2 on World's Edge, 2 on Stormpoint. So if they can find a little bit of success here on E-District and they hit match point, they are going to be dangerous. RoadHouse is going to look pretty good today. They are your informed teams. I hope I did a good enough job for you.
Oh, you did a great job, Mark. And I think it sets the tone, too, for a lot of teams coming in, playing well at the right time, which is important. We've got our top dogs who have always been consistent throughout the split. And then there's the flip side of this, the other side of the coin, so to speak, Dan, that I want to mention, because this is the Cinderella aspect of the story. The teams that need to go big or truly be left out of the big show. This is where you've got to find some Hail Mary, some last-ditch effort that could suddenly turn into this amazing opportunity, this miracle. And I want to talk about teams who need that. Otherwise, they're not going to be a part of Japan.
Hail Mary, you say? Don't worry. Dan Gaskins. My children. 4 teams that I want to talk about, all right? 4 teams that I believe could make that Hail Mary run today to get to champs, because these teams need to win today. And that's one thing that's going to be similar about all 4 of are a team that has only found wins on the E-District as well, and with E-District being the meat in the sandwich of the Snake Draft, maybe that could be a good chance for FaZe to try and find points.
Absolutely. We're going to jump into that in a minute, but great shout out to the teams who need a little bit of luck. And remember, with Empire Gaming winning in their match day previously, that was when FaZe Clan, although they took a second, were leading the entire lobby until the final game. It took Empire a 12-point second place to jump ahead of FaZe Clan. And FaZe Clan died out in 10th place with only 2 points. So FaZe Clan could have been one of the teams that won one of our match days. So certainly a lot of firepower. Excited to see what they can bring in today. But if you want to see all of these teams, well, there's a great opportunity for you to do it. Our champs tickets are officially on sale. I had someone ask me on X, where do I get these tickets? When are they on sale? I said, patiently wait. You'll find out this weekend if you stay tuned to Play Apex Esports on X or any of our socials. That's still the same. But right now, you can use this QR code and grab your tickets. They are live just to the right of your screen. Check it out. Open your phone's camera, and it'll take you directly to the link to buy your 4-day passes. You don't want to miss it. It's one of the most electric experiences you will ever have in an esports venue. Having been there last year, knowing we're going there next year and the year after, it's just going to be an incredible opportunity. You want to be a part of it. Set your calendars, grab your tickets now. Guys, not only that, I mean, it's time to really start looking to get ready at it. And I think for me, Vicky, you know, we talked a little bit about maps and E-District being the meat of the sandwich. We do see a shift here in the way Match Point Finals occurs, where it's not the traditional 2 maps, it's 3 maps today that these players have to navigate.
Exactly. We got the Snake Draft coming out. It's my favorite time when it comes to regional finals. You have to find that consistency, but not just on the 2 maps that we usually rotate through in a Pro League day, but through 3 maps. You got Storm Point to open up the day. You got World's Edge to follow E-District again, so you want to have that consistency at least in the middle part of the pack. And then depending on where our teams find themselves, if they have already 50 points or not, you have to secure that dub by the time we start rotating right back again between World's Edge, Storm Point, and then E-District. Again, as we take a look at the first game of the day, we'll be starting things off rain day on Storm Point.
And Mark, you know, looking at what happened in our regional finals previously, these are some of the circles that maybe you should, you know, fans, us will be looking out for that could happen again.
Yeah, I mean, if you're landing on the south side of the map and you've prioritized that in the POI draft, you're going to hope that the trend continues here for EMEA. Of course, there has been a lot of different zones across all regions, but the southern side has been pretty popular for EMEA. So if you're the Horde down at the bottom left there at Cenote, you're going to be in a really good, well, hoping, should I say, those zones will continue to pull down your way. It's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Well, thank you guys so much for the setup. What a story we have building here. Who will write their fairy tale ending? Who might be the Cinderella and the belle of the ball? We're going to find out here as we jump into game 1. It's going to be Onset and Gaskin to take us away.
Let's do this. Welcome along, everybody. Regional finals is here and Match Point is back. Dan, boy, I feel good about today.
Match Point's back. Match 1 is underway, and Rain Days singing us lullabies before bed. Just stories, books, everything. Anything you can read, I'll be happy with. But we're already amidst it here. I can already see how many legends we've got, and I can already see we're getting a Newcastle ban going into Match 2. So similar to what we've seen in scrims in the last week, in both EMEA and Americas, to be honest, Newcastle is getting the Axe game 1, and it's going to be very popular. Well, you spoke about Southern Zones, Mark. Look where we are heading, down to Barometer.
Yeah, Barometer going to be where we are going. We are hitting south side again, and for ONIC Esports, that is fantastic news for them. They do have a ring console as well, so they're going to be in a pretty good spot. One team who's not going to be in a good spot is on the receiving end of NAVI and Slab, and that is going to be Shex being taken down here. So a little bit of an early fight going down. Passion are going to lose one, as NAVI, who have to travel all the way down from Zoo Station towards Barometer, at least they're going to have a point on the board.
So interestingly, we have not seen a team win from Barometer all season, so maybe that is not going to bode well for them dropping down a Barometer, but we have seen a solid amount of points. I think on average about 7.5 points per game from Barometer, but of course that might change a little bit when the zone is pulling your way. Fun fact, Bean is actually the best POI that we've seen with an average of 15 points per game, which is pretty insane compared to everything else is around like 7, 8, 6. So we'll have to see whether that is something that we see today in regional finals.
I'll be honest with you, Dan, if you would have told me that, I would have called you a liar, but I believe you. That's pretty crazy. Well, RoadHouse are making their way towards Barometer at the moment. They're going to have to expend the bubble here to make sure They don't get ripped down on their Trident path towards Barometer. Looks like they're moving down to the low ground to start with. Probably going to just try and set up in the little building above themselves, of course. With the Newcastle wall, they're going to be able to do so, but they're actually going to come under a little bit of pressure here. So getting that wall down is going to be vital. They need to reset. And it looks like they're going to be able to do so.
RoadHouse is definitely going to be a team we're watching out for today because they are right on that bubble of qualifying through champs. If they have a good day today, they should get there just through points in qualification, especially after what we saw from APAC North and APAC South. So they'll be looking for a solid start to the day just so they can make sure they are there or thereabouts when it comes to points being scored.
Yeah, looking at where the zone could potentially pull here, it doesn't look like it's going to pull hard to the south of Barometer, and more likely going to be pulling over to the double buildings to the north, or maybe to the eastern side, excuse me, of the large tower that is inside of Barometer. But RoadHouse have actually done a pretty good job here. They were under pressure initially from UAIM, who tried to use the armor advantage. Maybe they got a little bit of an armor check and tried to force them out of that bunker, but the barrels went down, they got popped, and UAIM decided this is not worth the push. They want to just try and survive here, play that low ground position they had. NAVI, though, they look in the mood to fight today, Dan, and they've got GoNext in front of them.
I don't hate a NAVI that's in the mood to fight because we've seen what they can do when they do start to get pretty aggressive. We've had games throughout the entire split where they just ran at teams fearless at times. They just need to make sure if they are playing that way that they are prepared to settle down when they need to, but they're going up against GoNext and Henchman in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Henchman just runs in and gets taken down without really doing any damage. However, Hiaka, he's going to go down as well as Kinda will respond. So we have a 2v2 now. Slabbing and Xako, the last alive here for NAVI. Maybe thinking about exchanging a reset as Fuse is going to be in the early composition here for NAVI, which is going to give an indication of exactly that aggression that we were indicating. Maggie and Fuse here for NAVI.
We're going to try and step out and try and find Henchman again here. And I think this is going to be the inevitable. And even though Henchman does try and just defend as much as he could, sadly, is going to be pushed on by NAVI. Now, they are going to be chomped on by the ring here, which is something they have to be very aware of, and they will need to be thinking about, are there other teams that are going to potentially stop their rotation? But when I look at the mini-map, they should be okay, depending on the position they find themselves in. Killer Whales are currently within Stormcatcher, which could prove to be a problem if NAVI head down that way, but we'll check in with that later.
Teams who are going to be in those eastern buildings that we were talking about, Barometer, to take our attention back towards where we believe this zone is going to be ending. Citadel Gaming inside of it, and we also saw, I think it's Pot who's above them, so team who's been performing very, very consistently throughout the season, and since they've formed Citadel Gaming, they're getting ratted on. Oh, the Killer Whales. Oh, NAVI. They heard the fight that was going down. Killer Whales decided to wait in zone and delay their rotate in, and NAVI will be punished for it. So GoNext still alive, by the way. One player did get away on the Trident. Unfortunately for NAVI, back to the lobby, boys.
You know full well that last remaining player from GoNext just saw that happen in the sky and is just laughing to himself right now. As GoNext will get the last laugh. They'll be able to res back up at Elrod. And yeah, Killer Whales now will be satisfied with their patience. I said they were at Stormcatcher. They saw it all happen. I was hoping NAVI wouldn't get caught out, but it's so easy to take that cannon when you're up at Lightning Rod just for speed and direct access towards zone. Sadly, they get caught out in this one.
Yeah, and fun, of course.
And it is very fun.
Yeah, you know I'm hitting it even if there's a team there. I'm just like, yeah, it was fun. You know, it's just what happens. Well, Killer Whales get their KP on the board. NAVI eliminated first as we see the zone now close. Alliance all the way up at checkpoint. No surprise to see them taking their time on their rotation. And we are pulling to the northern side. And one of the zones that we've seen recently in scrims actually pulls out into the water towards that little rock formation in the island. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case here. But teams who are having a rotate in late, Killer Whales, we've just seen, GoNext have got the reset, like you mentioned. You also have Alliance landing over at Northpad. They have to make their way in. Passion over at Cito. And Endorse and Ronin, the other two teams who are furthest away. CYBERCATS, by the way, just hit an evac to see if they can find a spot in zone.
You can see all of the legends that have been selected on your screen as well now. And the main difference, I think, from scrims is that Caustic went in game 1 during scrims, but now we're seeing Newcastle go in game 1, which, as I said, is a little bit closer to what Americas have been doing. Elsewhere, you've got 7 Gibraltars, which is a surprise, I guess, for Stormpoint. I mean, usually appears a little bit more on World's Edge, especially in EMEA. We lacked Gibraltar somewhat at times, so interested to see as much of that in this first one. So expect Mad Maggie to start rising up the ranks the more Gibraltar we see today.
One thing that, of course, Gibraltar does offer you is the bubble on the Trident. Alliance are trying to use that right now. They're going to have to reset here and buy a little bit of time that bubble cooldown to reset so that they can think about what their next move is going to be if they do want to take that trident, have the bubble available to give them a little bit of cover. Unlucky right now with the 1x on the G7. Scout is going to be sitting literally a millimeter away from his monitor trying to see that player inside of beam. If anyone can hit those kind of shots with the 1x, it's going to be unlucky. But for now, back in the trident, bubbles reset, and Alliance will continue to try and work their way down on this western side of zone.
Yeah, I'm expecting later on when we see Storm Point come back into it again, even more Gibraltar to be there, depending on what's happened with the legend bans here or there. I know in scrims in Americas we did see Gibraltar get banned around like game 5, which was kind of mad, but again, it will be different here in EMEA as we will continue to watch Alliance make their move. Now, Ronin are going to be right on top of a squad and underneath the squad. They have sandwiched them here.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys, for Ronin Esports. Trying to force a third-party opportunity for themselves at the moment. Just happening on the northern side of Barometer. Seems a little bit awkward for everyone at the moment. I think a little bit of nerves, maybe a good decision here from Ronin to decide that this fight is a little bit risky, considering there's still 19 squads alive. Likelihood is someone's going to have an LOS that can influence that fight from a distance. They've just decided to disengage, and I think it's a smart thing to do. Sometimes using your brains can be fun, Dan.
You say using your brain can be fun?
Yeah, sometimes.
So yeah, typically when I'm playing, I'm not using much of my brain. I just listen, I run, I shoot. That is my job. I just try and deal some damage. I get a bit overwhelmed when I have to do the IGL calls, I'm going to be completely honest, but that's why these players are pro players and I am not. As we still have 19 squads remain, Taskmaster has just gone down as well, but a lot of these teams, as I'm watching the map overhead, are trying to force their way into zone now, and some of them have tried to get a little bit of extra information before we see Ring 3, but whether that's going to help them with the slight northern shift that you're talking about will remain to be seen.
Just looking at teams who might try and play for next zone, it doesn't look like there's actually a huge amount of consoles to play with. Citadel Gaming do get a knock, and Pop will be eliminated. This fight, of course, we were waiting for it to break out as both teams were cohabiting this building. Cohabiting this building from the first few seconds of the game. And when we did see the armor checked, it was Citadel Gaming who seemed to have the advantage. So finally they've managed to clear the building and claim it now completely as their own for now. Back on board with Ronin though, and they really don't have a choice now but to move forward and take this fight against Killer Whales, who will hold them out.
Was interesting seeing Citadel take that fight against Pot, because both two teams are in form when it comes to scrims at the moment as well. So both were going to be confident in their fights. So now Killer Whale is still having a little look around, see if they can find those remaining players from Ronin, and they will find them, but maybe found them a little bit too soon.
Yeah, it's got a little bit split there. You saw Killer Whales. One player just tried to find an angle, got a little bit split from the team, and Ronin as a pack. 3 of them, shoulder to shoulder, running at you. You're always going to be able to get that first knock. However, CJ's got to be careful here. Cracked his 1 HP. And now Killer Whales. It's all up to 9 Bongo. Do you escape? Do you run? Or do you hope that Ronin don't try and push this advantage? Because Nature's got the finish and got the kill. And now GoNext having a look at this.
And obviously the recent changes to Alter means that we don't see her as much, as you can't really abuse the portal as much as you used to be able to from Alter's POV anyway, which I think is a good change personally, and we certainly are going to be able to see more Alter across the board today and less likely to see her banned in these early games.
Well, where the zone is going is out into the sea, and the team who had to travel all the way across World's Edge are now in one of the best positions in the game. Alliance working that western side of zone on the Trident, now have one of the best spots available. Look at the space that they have on that western side as well. The Horde in pretty good position, but even inside of that egg building will have to move late, but it's the eastern side that's a concern for everyone at the moment. On the southern side, we're watching Empire Gaming try and take this fight, but that eastern side down, everyone is going to be chomping each other, and there's not going to be many teams who can leave that side alive.
Yeah, you might get 1 or 2 that are able to survive, but it's about how healthy you can be when you leave that area as well, watched upon by the teams from the west. Like you said, Alliance is going to be in a fantastic spot as Empire Gaming now are really just going to put VCGO to work here. When you try and make that move with very little cover, you can get punished from behind.
Yeah, I mean, this is teams trying to move early just to be safe, and it's tough to do, right? VCGO will be eliminated, so Empire Gaming get their KP. 2 assists for Versate. And they will be safe on this little ramp just overlooking the central structure of Barometer. We'll check back in as well. You see RoadHouse, who made that move early, still inside of that little bunker, but they're going to have to move as well. SJP2 down to 1 as well. Denze on the Pathfinder, which is an early interesting pick here.
That whole comp is interesting, to be honest.
It's an interesting composition, to be honest with you. Ronin Esports now try and force their way into zone. They will be safe, but they've got to take this fight on bridge.
Clutch. Not connecting too many shots with the Eva rate. It's not as easy as the Peacekeeper at times, I will say, with the fire rate. If you start to miss a few, it just seems like it gets away from you. Does the Eva 8. By the way, there is going to be a Mythic bin spawning on the southern side next to where Empire Gaming are, so perhaps they can get that one, and it might help them out into the final stages of this game, as it's a back and forth at the moment, still just trying to find a space to call home here for Ronin.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many LOSs on them at the moment. They're trying to survive, they're trying to stay healthy, but unfortunately, you look back to the missed shots with the Eva 8 from NG Clutch. And that might have cost them. CYBERCATS have been eliminated, though. Nate is last alive and might be able to reset here as ONIC Esports make their bubble trident move towards the zone.
Yeah, a lot of bubbles coming up, and look at the amount of damage that ONIC have taken here. It doesn't even matter if you've got a bubble as ONIC go down. Now Endorse might be able to pick up some more kills here. I think it's going to be TheHorde just below them there, and oh dear, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to smell. However, somehow or other, looks like TheHorde are eating out. They are surviving it. Phoenix is going to have a little poke at this one, a little prod.
Oh, God.
But he's getting absolutely decimated. Has to queue back. TheHorde will finally be eliminated. I didn't mind that idea from Phoenix. Tried to overextend, see if he could use that Kraber in his hands to pick up a couple of kills onto TheHorde. 14 squads now remain as 6 have fallen out of the lobby, but it's still only 1, 2, 3 teams as RoadHouse make their way in towards zone on that island are safe right now.
I just saw a map overhead. RoadHouse just fully send it to the middle, and here they are. Now they're trying to build a bunker, build a fort, but they're between GoNext and Alliance, the two worst teams you want to be between, the two best teams in the region at the moment. Can they stabilize here?
I mean, the Trident is everything for them right now because they've expanded the wall. They've got the Gimme Bubble to fall back on as well, but the indestructible cover of that Trident is going to at least deny an LOS from some teams who are moving in from that dastardly eastern side that we were talking about. UAIM have been eliminated as well. Citadel Gaming have to make their move forward now.
Yeah, Citadel are going to have to get through about 5 other teams. Nova, Endorse, FaZe, Ronin are all going to be there. Killer Whales also with the remaining player to their north. So that's going to get messy here on the east. And now we're going to see Citadel make that move, but they are the last to move in. So there is potential for KP here.
Killer Whales eliminated. Citadel Gaming continue to move forward. We'll be safe in this corner. I think they can get a wall down as well. Micey's having a look at this. In fact, that corner's not going to be safe. A little bit of a misread by the looks of things from Citadel Gaming. SJP2 and Endorse will fall next as the kills and teams start to stack up in the death column. Daisha has gone down, so it's just a duo now for Citadel.
Citadel can still do work here as a duo, though, but sadly, with Remix powers going down, that is going to leave Zuni in a very difficult position. As I say that, help from elsewhere means that they can shut things down. FaZe Clan get eliminated, and perhaps they can stabilize as a 2. All the meanwhile, Alliance have been here on the west throughout the entire game as Empire Gaming go down, and Alliance looking to try and close out game 1 here, because arguably in the best position at the moment.
I mean, the one thing that you can say about Alliance right now is, yes, best position for zone, but not a lot of KP to go alongside it because everyone else was the other side of the zone all stacked up on each other. And when Effect has no kills, usually to get an indication that Alliance don't really have many kills. But Unlucky still peeking and trying to see what pixels are moving with that 1x on his scout.
They're getting very close.
Maybe he's going to become more effective. They're getting in his range pretty soon. Trojan have just made a play, by the way, onto the cannon. Did you see that? Everyone just sent it onto the cannon. Nassi's going to be going down. Alliance might have an opportunity to peek at some of these battles that are going on and around it and see if they can get some KP. Oh, speaking of peeking.
Oh. I mean, Alliance, they want to get rid of RoadHouse. RoadHouse are the biggest threat to Alliance at the moment with the position they find themselves in, and GoNext aren't able to get an angle on RoadHouse to help Alliance, as it were. So we are now going to see the zone close, and GoNext are going to have to move, as well as Citadel, as well as maybe Passion a little bit, who are going to be holding the northeast here.
It wants a bit of bumper cars. The Dodgems are out. Trojan eliminated. GoNext looking to take down Citadel Gaming here. Light is kind of swinging and not connecting too much. A little bit of chunk is going to help. And GoNext will manage to hold. Citadel Gaming will be eliminated. GoNext, who have been on the back of the reset, remember. One player alive now find themselves in this endgame as Alliance now look for their KP. Aku will be taken down as they're playing around this Newcastle queue.
Has to be quick here for Alliance as well. They wanted to take advantage of distractions elsewhere, and they do so. They take down RoadHouse, and they should be able to get the revive. Hackers is already on it, whilst Passion and GoNext are fighting. Alliance may be teeing up a win here.
GoNext, by the way, what a performance this has been. What a reset. The fact they're in the top 3, an incredible turnaround from what looked like a perilous game number 1 after the fight with NAVI. Passion managed to retreat to their wall. And now we have somewhat of a standoff, but Passion are going to be focused. Look at the lay of the land. GoNext and Alliance just zoned in on these KP.
Well, Passion retreating from that fight has helped GoNext. It's given them a massive chance here in this final circle. Yes, it's still going to be difficult to come from their position with the amount of space that Alliance has, but at least Alliance aren't able to benefit on a third party here. Instead, both of these teams are just going to really be focusing on Passion. Passion get eliminated, and now we get a straight 3v3.
Straight 3v3, the wall will go down. Now Alliance control the zone. They have so much space, they have so much height, they have so much cover. And even with the defensive bombardment coming in from the Gibraltar on GoNext, the bubble from Hackis is going to be enough to maintain this height. But look at GoNext. They're sending it behind the Newcastle queue, and Hackis is going to have to hold. He gets big damage. He gets another chunk, and Hackis is holding the line for Alliance. But can they get over the line here? Unlucky. With the Peacekeeper in his hand, looking to stick the revive and walk forward, send in effect as Alliance will move towards surely a Game 1 victory here.
There it is, Game 1 victory. Sew it up with a nice little bow, and it was the 2 top teams in EMEA going at it, duking it out in the final circle. Alliance in first place at the moment, GoNext in second place. Who's going to win Pro League? Well, Alliance strike first here. And GoNext will have to maybe try and answer back. But it was always going to be difficult when we saw GoNext in that position. They had an opportunity when Passion were able to retreat, but trying to go like slightly uphill with the spot that Alliance had, they gave it a really good effort, but sadly weren't able to come out on top in the end.
Yeah, really good hold from Hackis. I mean, playing around that bubble perfectly, peeking out and hitting big damage. It just forces players to make different decisions. I mean, you can see it was an all-in. If they took down Hackis there, they'd probably win the game. But unfortunately for them, it's Hackis we're talking about. So it's a little bit more difficult to do, especially with a player who's so good with his movement in and around the zone of that bubble. So great stuff from Hackis, great stuff from Alliance. They actually end up with 7 KP, all picked up in that end game, and a 19-point game in game number 1. But GoNext actually coming out on top with the points down.
I said that Alliance strike first, and technically they do, but GoNext actually leading now. And, you know, these points differences are going to be very important when it comes to the end of today, because GoNext is 7 points in the overalls behind Alliance. So GoNext need to win today to probably take down Alliance, and Alliance maybe need to be dropping down a little bit. But we'll get into those nitty-gritties a little bit later. Either way, I was happy that we had our 2 best performing teams in the region get into the final circle. I think it always states the obvious here. Like, we've got 2 consistent teams, 2 teams that the region are kind of relying on to be up there in international competition, and at the moment both of them look excellent.
So 2 of the big dogs starting off well in match number 1. We'll have to see if the form continues or if someone else rises to the fore in match number 2. We're going to go for a quick break. Don't go too far, because we'll be right back.
onto a different map, going on to game number 2.
Yeah, you can already see that the best teams in the region just know how to be in the right spot. I mean, it doesn't matter where they're landing. They always find themselves there or thereabouts. Alliance did it perfectly to find themselves on the western side. A different approach from GoNext, a slightly more aggressive one that had them in the mix of teams rotating from the eastern side, but that's why they ended up with more kills and ultimately won the game, despite not winning the game. The fact that they've got more points on the board is all that's going to matter for them, because when you think about getting to match point, it's getting to that 50 points first, and the fact that they are currently leading over Alliance always is going to be a good thing going into match 2.
What I was really impressed with too is how Passion were actually able to take down Light, and they tried to int on GoNext, yet GoNext having that Gibby composition, the triple big boys, as you want to say, Meat Mountain coming through, they were able to also get a huge reset. Coming through with Hockey's having some meaty PK shots, he played around the edge of the Gibby Dome so nicely. And I feel like one thing too, Dan, is that we see these PK nerfs coming out, and obviously it hasn't done much, right? It's still so strong in these final zones here. While Hockey's was able to deal just enough damage, it was the cleanup crew from the rest of Effect and Unlucky to take that dub.
Yeah, I love the way that Alliance fight as well. I mean, the way that they prioritize targets, how they bait and switch, it is always a masterclass. And it's one thing when a team is new and plays like that, but with a team like Alliance who have been together for so long, it just comes so naturally, and you can hear it in their comms as well. They don't really have to be screaming at each other to be focusing on a certain player, which sometimes they will, depending on how excited they are, but they just almost know what kind of tendencies their teammates have at this point. Oh, I know Effect is going to be prioritizing this target because he has these guns, and it really is a pleasure to watch Alliance when they're at their very best.
It's literally like Hockey sending out his Pokemon, right? The anchor here of this team, but then the beautiful communication that we know that they have as alongside the synergy and the buildup that they have together as a unit. But as we make our transition into our next game, it is World's Edge, and Alliance do land where they love to land over by Skyhook West. You have to bring that consistency, because then you take a look at GoNext and their performance already dropping 11 KP. Talk about highlighting what we already talked about, Dan, in the pre-show.
Yeah, I think that the fact that they have been able to show that much aggression and get those kills when they needed to means that throughout the rest of today, they are going to be a very fierce competitor. And I think that's what we expected, so I don't think that it's anything out of the norm there, but can they do it across every single map? Yes, you can do it on Storm Point when we've not had any legend bans yet, but as the day goes on, as you start to lose legends, who then is going to step up? Because we have seen like ban resets happen for the first time. It happened last week. We saw all of the Controller Legends banned, so then the Controller Legends started to come back in. That could certainly be a factor today, although that being said, we lost Newcastle in game 1. We didn't lose Caustic, so that does slow down that ban process a little bit. I am expecting Caustic maybe to go in game 2 here, but we'll have to see whether that does happen.
I agree, because when we move over onto game 2, you have a lot more of those close quarter fights. You're very similar to E-District, where there's a lot of coexisting depending on where these final zones pull. But when you have the Caustic into play, you saw already how many PK shots it takes to get rid of one barrel. I mean, that's a whole different topic that you know that I could go on a tangent for forever when it comes to the big stinky man. But then we go over to World's Edge. We're going to be seeing more of those Caustics. Alter has been a very interesting topic after the nerfs that we've seen just roll out earlier this week, how that's going to influence even those two type of maps. While we get set up here, everybody, for game number 2, and while we make that transition over into that next map, and just looking at the POI drafts on how our teams have been feeling very comfortable, let's take a look at the Alliance and GoNext stats, because side by
a match point, but as long as you can get there by matches kind of 6 and 7, you should have a chance of being able to maybe win regional finals and hit that Hail Mary.
I'm also expecting ONIC to pop off. This is, as we make that way into World's Edge, this is where they found the most success. Currently sitting at 55.2% of their success rate on World's Edge and being able to accrue over 127 points at that point. Is that consistency going to carry over into today where it matters the most? Here we have the regional finals. Our teams that have not been able to punch their ticket yet into Japan are looking for that opportunity if they need to start racking up those points, especially if they start having a rough start.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams that will have a rough start today, but again, I don't think it's going to be the worst news just yet. I think if you're like match 3 or 4, then you start to panic if you haven't been able to find points. But one thing that you guys might have seen at home is a few of the predictions that have been going out on social media as well. Also, great graphic, I will say. Vicky, they used your newer pictures, not some one of your older pictures, so that's good. But we see Imperial Hal picking Alliance. Timmy going with Alliance, Wig as well. I went with Alliance. Vicky, you went GoNext, but one thing that is familiar here is everyone is going either Alliance or GoNext. It's hard to bet against the big two, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I'll be real, too. I'm very passionate about my pick'ems. I mean, you and the rest of the team know that. But I wanted to shake things up, too, because I've always leaned into Alliance. I mean, who wouldn't when it comes to the heavy titans of EMEA? But it's also that Cinderella story of looking at how GoNext has been able to continue on this consistency and with a different format, because it's regional finals. This is where everybody needs to showcase a consistency in a battle royale where there's a lot of RNG factors that you could try to minimize is very important as we get started here and we get set up within our game number 2.
So one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to World's Edge as well is some of the best performing POIs that we've had so far. Yeah. I mean, we've seen staging being one of the most successful likes of GoNext, who, I speak of GoNext, they're actually the 3rd best performing team on World's Edge. Alliance are a little bit further down, around 6th place. Their points have typically been over on Storm Point and E-District rather than World's Edge here.
Yeah, ONIC having a pretty rough first game there, right? Falling in 16th with no KP. And then you talk about MPIRE, who had a rather better game in that first game with 6 KP. It's time to ramp up as we get started, everyone, with game number 2. Thank you so much for your patience. And as we take a trip, as a flyby goes over the lovely World's Edge, we're back home, as I like to say, one of my favorite maps still from the very beginning of Apex Legends. We take a look at our winners of game number 1 as Alliance do land over by Skyhook West here. Already going to be able to split more of that loot over by the Prowler Den.
Trip down memory lane when it comes to World's Edge. I feel it is just the tried and tested and true map that features in the ALGS. In terms of legend selection, as expected, Caustic is going to get the fat ban when it comes to match number 3. 14 caustics in the lobby, 10 altars. So even with the nerfs that you're coming through, like you were talking about, Vicky, people still feel like altar offers a lot, which she does. She just isn't as strong. It's why we're not seeing like the 18 or 19 altars feature, which means that altar sometimes is going to get as far as matches 6, matches 7. So if you're an altar fan and you enjoy her gameplay, if you enjoy seeing those void passages pass through wall to wall, we're going to see a lot more of them today than we typically would have previously in the season.
Yeah, let's not forget her rest of her kit, because Alter's always been a very strong legend. And look at where this zone is pulling. Talking about mixing things up here, as Trojan are going to be able to capitalize off of this, except there's no ring console here. They got the survey beacon. They're going to have to push out here to go to No Name to maybe get some more information if they want to boost up those Evo shields. Evo Harvester too on the mouth side of where Empire is already rotating. But if Trojan aren't careful, they could get wrapped around after GoNext also get their own respective scan over by Big Mod. They're already calling in the evac tower, and a lot of our teams already making their moves. CYBERCATS already have been able to obtain that Evo shield, but this is a nice look over what we had already seen from the previous match days and where these zones have pulled over on World's Edge.
GoNext already moving so far. Oh, GoNext might be able to take the far eastern building, and they have been able to get there. And Trojan maybe will be a little bit frustrated, and Trojan are going to be in no man's land now. Have to try and retreat. And you can see they are just scarpering away to try and get into the other building. So that is beautiful from GoNext to recognize where they want to be able to take priority position here, and also to take something away from someone who is going to already be in that area. But a lot of early fights, early engagements, teams moving fast here, as again, NAVI are going to be in this initial skirmish.
This is versus Horde. I like this, kicking things off just as aggressive, and this is what you can expect when it comes to match sport format, because a lot of the priority that these teams want to rely on is getting KP aside from that dub. You want to get 50 points before you feel like you're in the safe zone, before the next step is to get that dub. And while Navi are stuck here over by launch site, it is an isolated fight, and they could try to even wrap up from stack side if they want to take a much more roundabout position, probably even play objective here, whoever wins this, as you can already see Navi backing away. They do not like how long this fight is taking. They just want to try to prioritize maybe getting a survey beacon if they could get those blue Evos. But looking in the distance, CYBERCATS, I know they're social, keeping really close eyes on this team right now. Love being able to see what they do there on social media here, as now CYBERCATS already getting pinged by the other team right behind them. Got to give them the shimmy shade if you're on the Watson. Not much movement there, and as Alonzi is trying to give them suppress fire to help them out.
Yeah, a lot of teams fighting over early Evo harvesters, and of course just positions, trying to make that rotation round and move quickly to that eastern side of the map, as we do see that first knock come through. The 30-30 gets the job done. Now, Geyser, we've not seen a team win at Geyser all season long, so that isn't really the best of news for Trojan, especially considering they lost their position as well to GoNext, who moved so quickly from Big Maud. As soon as they had that info, they knew it was going Geyser, so they moved as fast as they possibly could, as we're now seeing that kit of Alter being put to good use here by Citadel.
And they also got some whiplash, right? Because they got denied the Evo Harvester that they wanted to rely on, and maybe even get some extra information before they saw teams rotating inside the tunnel. And they're like, wait a minute, it's pulling down here. They have information that we do not have. And now we have to try to find the security of that building, as we see the altar portals coming right back around. Remember, after these nerfs, you only got one, and you got to stay alive if you want to be able to take that altar portal, or have your altar stay alive to recall you instead. As we take a look at Ronin, another team here who is going to be able to take that northern position, because VCGO were in some trouble. I believe now down to solo here. It's just the Wraith that's left from that team, and Ronin are wrapping up right behind them. So target over here.
Rapping and rolling are Ronin, but I think they should be able to catch up the last remaining player. Where do you even go? At this point, I'd probably jump off the map. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'd be like, I'm gonna die anyway. Let's just not give anyone a kill. But yeah, trying to survive is Babylon's. But sadly, I think it's gonna be an inevitable, dismal end to his game. Unless the portal, the back and forth, the shimmy shake, the duck and dive. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? When you're trying to chase someone and they're just portaling back and forth like this.
Honestly, if I was in a position like this too, I would have gone for something cheeky and thrown that portal off the map. Maybe try to bait them out. The good old true old-fashioned Wraith plays to try to push them off. I mean, when you're desperate and you're trying to get the replica. Oh, okay, all right. He tried to go for the cheeky play. There's not much you could do. He gave him a quick hello with the PK though, and they will find that one solo thanks to that survey beacon and chasing after that one last remaining player. All right. VCGO, no longer VC no, and now we're going to be able to move on to the Horde, who have been able to find their rotates, lacking on a light mag on that R9, but I like to be able to see a lot of these players sticking to what they could pick up here as Horde want to take this next fight.
So many quotes that I could say, but for legal reasons, perhaps I won't, just in case. You know, I don't have a lawyer, so I don't know how it really works here, but the Horde are a team that can certainly be a huge threat today when they do start to get going. But I worry a little bit if they struggle in the first few games, if they don't stay within that touching distance that I've been speaking about, will they just fall that little bit too far behind and maybe give themselves too much to do? Because if they can stay within the points of the likes of GoNext, the likes of Alliance, you know full well that Horde could have a game where suddenly they pop off and they get that victory, and I could see a world where they win regional finals, but it's about staying up there first and being consistent all the way through.
Imagine that cinema call if we had the Horde versus Alliance. We're gonna have to see if they find themselves in that last game, as ONIC do get the res on Zidane, and it's gonna be that clean 3v3. But while this fight is going on, there is a portal nexus right to the south of Horde. That's important to note, because with the other teams that are still not in that next zone, they're looking to circle keep here. Even some cryptos in the lobby here, very rare, but still existing, and trying to get those survey beacons, have that information. Same thing for Sparrow, being able to get that remote beacon scan too. Get to play objective without putting yourself at risk, and it is still that killer whales versus Horde fight with Navi waiting in the distance on the other side of the tunnel.
Elsewhere is getting a little bit frisky over towards Fragment and Monument as well. Alliance making their rotation in, have been kind of gate-kept a little bit by FaZe Clan, with CYBERCATS then ahead of them, but it could just be a straight fight between Alliance and FaZe Clan, as they are going to get involved, and they are going to get a little bit naughty over here. Straight onto the roof now, as Alliance looking to try and capitalize on FaZe being below them.
Gotta punish them here. Mother knows best, as Hockey's holding on to the high ground right now before dropping down. Alter, PK in hand, and he's got the purple shotgun bolts. Talk about feasting, and unlucky here too. This is the Alliance gameplay, considering that they landed Skyhook West to get to play objective here, have the Evil's Harvesters on top of the Trials, but it's going to be that isolated fight, and they get the scan, 27 enemies nearby, and they see the team that they just evicted out of this building running for their lives.
Yeah, FaZe did not want anything to do with that. Recognized they were in a very difficult spot being on the lower ground there, and Alliance prioritizing high ground really helped them force FaZe back away. Maybe it was a good thing that both teams really retreated from, one team retreated from that fight, because CYBERCATS were in the area and could have potentially third-partied, but now CYBERCATS moved away, which will open up space for Alliance to make their rotation in. And maybe they'll have to start thinking about the likes of Killer Whales, who are going to be in the same kind of spot. As we check in with Empire, remember they're one of the best performing World's Edge teams, and they look like they're going to be pretty cozy in that vault for now. And Ronin also noticing the CYBERCATS rotation as well. So a lot of these Edge teams at the moment are just running into each other as they're trying to make their way into zone.
And that's with Ronin coming out of finding that solo, right? Over by Overlook, and they had a ring console there, so they have to be careful, because they could probably expect another team like FaZe, who exited out from the Fragment side, to now wrap up behind them. Talk about on cue as they find these next knocks. Nate unfortunately going down and getting finished off, and now it's Zane. It's the trade-off with FaZe playing on the back end. Now Ronin have that portal nexus. They're going to be able to take that right back around. Nice Arcstar positioning here, as McGlutch taking a huge amount of damage. Talk about Arcstar cracks. Skydate following up from Nax, trying to get it big here. And it's not an isolated fight, because CYBERCATS are still waiting in the distance over by No Name before Alliance eventually start rotating from the Evil Harvester side, from the choke that exits out of the north side of Lava Siphon.
FaZe being clever though, and still using that Void Nexus to make sure that they can port back and then bring the Alter that was down on her knees. So now the FaZe can get back up to a full 3 again. But yeah, without Alter, FaZe could have been in a very difficult spot this game. So they'll probably be pretty happy that Alter isn't going to be banned anytime soon. As now ONIC, another team who have been fantastic at World's Edge so far this season, look like they're going to try and pick up a couple more extra kills here. As you can see, Kashira just on the other side of that, but ONIC reluctant to push out because there are a lot of eyes and ears around them at the moment. A lot of lines of sight, but they also don't want to allow these reses to happen. They want to try and force Kashira away.
Oh, Kashira trying to back away. All the PK shots not finding their mark, but Zidane has got to be careful, because there's a 30-30 shots from Taskmaster that has not only been harassing Kashira as he manages to get away, but ONIC here too. Backing, seeing at Nova, Gaia just Shara, who's trying to avoid everything. 30-30 shots, caustic barrels. Where can you go before he finds himself going down at the hands of a G7 from the teams who do find that safety? And look at FaZe. They've been able to force their way in from that northern side of the tunnel when we saw them backs against the wall originally. And it's Empire Gaming that have not moved from the tunnel side, waiting out on these teams that eventually will be funneling into their line of sight.
So it's starting to get a little bit frisky in the northeast. FaZe are going to be held out by Empire. I don't know if they're going to actually be able to go through this tunnel. And the sad thing is for FaZe, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because if they head west, they're going to get caught by the CYBERCATS. It's 2 chokes they're going to have to force through. Elsewhere, Citadel Gaming getting some good initial damage onto 9 Impulse here. It's going to be Citadel versus TheHorde, and Citadel should just be able to back up to this choke and force TheHorde to try and come towards them or rotate on a different angle.
I like this choke here. This is what we were expecting when you want to try to prevent other teams from being able to get those Evo Harvesters for free. But they're going to have to start rotating from where RoadHouse is currently positioned over by that northern choke up on the high ground as SJP2, the next team to go out. 15 squads left thus far, a lot slower than the crazy whiplash in action that you and Onset were able to see for game number 1. And Hockey's being able to have that amp allows them to have more of those shields to rock here too. They start making their plan as round 3 starts closing in right behind them, and they have to think fast as they call in an evac tower. They're gonna have to worry about RoadHouse though. Let's jump into listening with RoadHouse as Alliance try to take this fight.
Get on you, get on you, get on you. Taking their kill. What's that? I'm taking it. One on. Last guy. Who's dead? Nice. Getting TP'd on from the tunnel.
Yeah, it's top 3. Fucking run 3, I mean. They can't really. They're fighting in tunnel.
Okay. We have an evac and we can take it from here, no? Probably, yeah. I'm letting it quick. Look over me.
I'll be back.
You're in zone, by the way. Ring free. Don't die. Might get knocked. Try not to, because we can get wrapped with TPs.
Yeah. Hard fighting tunnel.
I need a little bit. Was there a shotgun?
I know ultac. Ultac, how to power him?
No, I need one.
Okay, we have 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit. As soon as I get my drone, I'm hitting AV.
Okay. Teams are kind of flying everywhere.
This spot's taken out. They flew in there.
Okay. Remember, the underneath are good.
I am loving what I am hearing right now from RoadHouse. The passion, the plans as they look for the evac tower before they're able to move into that next zone.
A lot of passion, and for good reason. Like I mentioned earlier, RoadHouse are in that bubble for qualifying just via points for champs, with spots being opened up by teams in other regions. I think it was the likes of Gen G, Unlimit, who were able to open up extra spots just via points by winning their Pro League or regional finals in APAC North and South. And that means that RoadHouse are right on that cusp of qualifying for champs. And they don't need to win today. They just need to be up there or thereabouts in the top, it might even just be top 10 teams, to be honest. So they're probably feeling it. They're probably feeling pretty happy about their gameplay at the moment, and they took down Alliance, but now they've lost Blast. How are they going to do this as a 2?
And they're gassed up here. Phoenix is also popping off, by the way, with the Kraber in the feed, but there were the teams with the crypto with some backup here too off that crypto drone. Lefka takes a huge chunk of damage. It got the bats ready to go, as it also highlights how strong Alter is on being able to get these resets, repositioning as the EMP rings out, forcing RoadHouse here just to back away and also just reset, gives them some time to prevent this team from being able to push in.
It's a good reset for them, and they put themselves in a pretty good spot to hold out UAIM, but it's about where they go afterwards. They can go to the top of the building and survive for a little bit. They should be able to stay alive maybe into a little bit further into the top 10. As Citadel Gaming is going to be more difficult for them because they are caught in no man's land. One remaining player left, and actually going a little bit nutty. Pot get eliminated, and Citadel, they go down, but boy, do they go down with a bang.
Heck yeah, they're able to get that KP at the same time, and when you have little to no cover, especially here on Geyser, it's going to be a bloodbath. Phoenix, by the way, another Kraber knock in favor for Endorse, as 5 squads are left. FaZe are out of here. Killer Whales to meet them back in the lobby, as Feuda's going to be able to pick up a Kraber himself and be getting a little swap up here. That means that there could be 2 Krabers available for this team alone, and you talk about RoadHouse. RoadHouse also being a top 5 performing team on Worlds edge, but this is going to be brutal when it comes to these next rotates. Trojan have managed to stay alive. Rather, they've been able to clean up some KP for the squads that have to funnel into their line of sight is another story, because GoNext now, after they were able to secure that northern building over by Geyser super early on, will eventually have to start moving on to where NAVI are by the crates.
Yeah, talking about NAVI, they have the best top 5 to win conversion rate in the league, so they are definitely going to be one of the favorites here in this final circle, and they pressed up on one member of GoNext and been able to shut them down immediately. NAVI in such a powerful position, but if this fight goes on for too long, it opens the door for the likes of Trojan, Endorse, and RoadHouse to maybe come in and take that spot away from them, so NAVI have to be careful. GoNext are going to get sent on now.
This is the perfect green light for Trojan to try to take this fight. They see the knocks in the feed and they want to push in as they finish off 2 of those players from GoNext, leaving GoNext as a solo. And Trojan highlighting how the Altar Portal just also allow them to just completely frag out here and try to take these early fights. RoadHouse on the other side, though, of this building of Geyser. It's going to be a fight versus Endorse, as one member of Endorse are still in that next zone. Again, GoNext down to just the crypto, but that's the best solo you could possibly have right now if this is a situation, if you're a GoNext.
EMP goes off. A chance maybe to push out and get some damage. RoadHouse have been able to find themselves outside of that building. They didn't get stuck in and pinned back. That definitely could have happened when they were looking at them earlier. GoNext will be eliminated in 5th position. RoadHouse looking to try and find their way into the top 3 here as well, but they have lost blasts.
I hear these PKs in my nightmare for all the right reasons, as RoadHouse are looking to get the reset. Last 3 squads, and Trojan is down to a solo because NAVI have successfully played King of the Hill. They have completely held back all the other teams who have been trying to press them in their position. Now they have the high ground advantage, and they have the final zone positioning advantage.
Been 4 wins for NAVI so far this Pro League split. It's been 4 wins for RoadHouse this Pro League split. But in terms of percentages of converting top 5s to top 1, it's a 66 conversion rate for NAVI. And you can see why. When they do find themselves in these top 5 positions, they often are in one of the most powerful spots on the map. Whereas RoadHouse, they have a lot to do from here. However, they do have that Kraber. The difference maker could be right here, right now. You hit one headshot, game changer, and you are right into this fight.
Would give them the biggest advantage. As Aku is looking, trying to force him to poke out, sending out the Archer to clear some space. The entry frag, oh, all right, we did not see that one as he puts the portal right through the roots of the tree as Lefka sends out 2 Sky Nades. They gotta be huge. We gotta see the follow-ups as he misses out on the first Kraber shot. Can we at least get a second one? Harassing him with that shots from afar. That longbow you have to be careful. Lefka has to pop the shield back for now, but it's the calm before the storm. Final ring closing in right at their backs.
Remember, the solo player from Trojan can still make a big difference in this one. NAVI are having to turn their sights to that solo. No saying, you're not going to get me just yet. So NAVI now maybe just forcing him away. And again, refocusing onto RoadHouse. This win could be massive for either of these teams as well. But particularly RoadHouse, who, as I've mentioned a few times, are on that cusp of qualification for champs.
To consider which ultimates are online right now. Do you have that Nox gas as the zone gets even smaller? Blast doesn't have it here in his hands. An EMP would go even harder as the 120 rings out. There goes the EMP, and there goes the green light. As Aku has to be careful. He gets peeked by the PK. He gets sent down, and it's up to Lefka as Blast is incredibly low. RoadHouse looking to clean up as Navi get taken out. The solo, by the way, they have to go in for the shield swaps. Lefka gets it, but the PK swap here, and no tries to clutch it. And RoadHouse, they hold their footing and they completely take over the high ground after wiping out both of these final teams to take the dub.
Almost. The Rat almost gets the job done. Looking at the health of RoadHouse, I thought that No was going to get the job done and we were going to see the first win of the season for this Trojan roster. But it is going to be RoadHouse who pull out the victory, and what a huge one that is for their chances of going to champs. The fact that they are so close just off points, just to now give them that confidence going through to the rest of today, where they're going to be like, all right, we've already got 1 win on the board, a good amount of points. As long as we are staying consistent throughout the rest of today, we should be going to Japan and going to Sapporo, which must be an incredible feeling for them. But they don't want to get ahead of themselves, but certainly gives them a good feeling going into the rest of the games.
gives them an advantage because they had double-digit KP, I believe, just looking at that game alone. And I loved the fact that we got to listen to them as we take a look at the match results, because with that dub on top of the KP, I believe that overall secured 30 points for them, 24 points alone going into this second game. 12 KP after Trojan, by the way, secured that second place finish. Honestly, Gaskin, I also thought that maybe that one solo could do it. If that shield swap did not come through, it just took what? A PK shot just to send them down, as Trojan are able to secure not only that second place, but with that 3 KP points on top of it all. But NAVI also preventing a lot of these teams from rotating on top of them here, as we take a look at RoadHouse with the 12 KP, 4,000 damage here on top of the first place.
We are still yet to see a team win from Geyser when that zone, well, not even when the zone's coming that way, but just in general. No one has won from Geyser yet so far this season in EMEA. Instead, RoadHouse are able to take that victory. And I do think that Trojan helped RoadHouse quite a bit. That solo just distracting Navi enough. But of course, the Kraber shot was the difference maker. As soon as RoadHouse hit that Kraber shot, they got aggressive and they forced themselves into that fight and slightly caught them off guard, did Navi. Navi were just kind of on the back foot a little bit. But those are going to be the points as it stands. RoadHouse now take the #1 spot. They go ahead of GoNext and Alliance as we lose Caustic as our second legend when it comes to those legend bats here, Vicky.
Hasta la vista, Caustic, but we may see him again. We're going to have to see. It is match point finals here. And that was with RoadHouse taking the dub coming out of Monument side, Gaskin. So the facts prove true with the way that RoadHouse was able to clean up so much KP here.
Well, the KP was brilliant for RoadHouse. The victory, I'm sure, was even sweeter. So that's match 2 concluded. A pleasure to cast alongside you, Vicky. We've got match 3 coming up, but first we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Before we jump back into the broadcast, Rain Day and Onset here with you as we jump into game 3. Mark, you took a break, so did I in this last one. We got a chance to see these final circles in full, but let's talk about them now as we run through the tape here on the show. It was RoadHouse and left with some amazing plays towards the end, managing that circle in Geyser.
Yeah, I think the key was something that Dan highlighted that we saw from the POV of RoadHouse, and it was Aku with the Kraber. You know, NAVI don't really do anything wrong in this position. They are sending out barrels, they are commanding space, they are aware of the solo as well. You can see they were constantly kind of checking on that player, as you can see here from the point of view of Hiaka. They have to be aware of it, but just there, Xhako gets broken, and the one thing that you have to do if you get that kind of damage in a situation where you're not in a game-winning position is take advantage of it. That 120, Aku flies out straight away. One thing I loved here as well, notice he doesn't reload. Even though he gets taken down here by Hiaka, he holds the angle, gets every single bit of bullet damage that he can with that R9. The rest of his teammates move in. Some great shots from Lufgard. No makes himself a little bit of a nuisance. A very important decision for Lufgard just to go for this armor swap, because that's what keeps him alive. And then just manages to turn around, hit the PK shots he needs to, and wins the thing.
I mean, the beautiful thing is you hear it. Blast actually goes down to the first PK shot. And so it was important for that armor swap, but also Lufka not taking anything for granted. I think too, Aku, I love that point you made about not reloading, just the fact that they're holding that angle, knowing that his pieces of his team are going to follow up on that. And his reload takes away pressure from a moment where they have to keep on it. And an amazing EMP to follow up as well.
Decided that E-Bank is something that they want to secure. Maybe they've had a little bit of a weakness here on E-Districts. Maybe they think it's just going to give them great rotates being in that central position. So we'll have to see if NAVI can convert a good performance in the previous game into some wins here on E-District.
Always exciting to jump into a regional finals cast and jumping alongside our winners of game number 2 and leaders of the lobby, RoadHouse. Lufka, he was a player who was just a fight away from hoisting a trophy. He's going to try to get back into that situation in Japan. RoadHouse, newly formed after Blast's experience with Gaming Gladiators and Funk, transitioning from that, now being a part of North America and ZZ, which we'll see later on this afternoon. But, you know, Blast really, I think, just a player who's come into his own prominence in EMEA. Expected a little bit more from him this split, and I think that's where some of the changes came through. Certainly, Mark. But this is still a guy and still a team, I think, that has a tremendous amount of potential. They've shown it already in game 1, but I think in just the big picture, this is the team that we've started to consider, despite having a little bit of a slowdown, as one of the top teams in all of Europe.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a great chance here to potentially go back-to-back as well, because they have console, they have zone, and they are going to have a real opportunity alongside NAVI, who are involved in that final game as well, at E-Bank, who also have a ring console, to set up and have great prio. The only maybe slight issue for NAVI here is with the size of E-Bank as a POI, if they're actually going to have the time to hit that ring console. I'm pretty sure they would have by now, but you can already see Pot, UAIM, everybody is flying in, and this building is prime real estate, and NAVI are going to have to fight hard for this one.
Already getting into the action, but fenced up with Watson. That's going to be so helpful with the Shako, those electrified doors, and playing the Sparrow yet again. Seeing quite a few Sparrows in this lobby, and maybe that character coming back into favor just a little bit, but going to give them the vision and going to make it very, very hard to siege into that building. RoadHouse on top of it, trying to find something. You can see Lufka gets a little opening with Taskmaster. Aku finds Sauna. RoadHouse like what they see. They want to push up on this.
Yeah, need to finish this fight off though. They got 2 players healthy. It's only Priestess who's available and alive for Pot on the top side of this building. In the meantime, all of those fights that were going down, UAIM had players knocked in and around this early carnage and fight for position, and they managed to get the respawn, but this fight is still ongoing here. Lufka gets that knock, still one player alive though. They can't clean this, and the longer this takes, the more likely a third party is to come and arrive.
That's what you got to keep in mind. There is a lot of teams right around this area, but it's so important to fight for this real estate and be able to use the Watson to hold top and bottom floor. They don't want to give it up yet. Both these teams severed to a fault. Or do they have a deeper plan in mind? Gonna try to peek in, finish it off, takes more damage than it's worth, and yet again, this delays, and here's Max Strafey coming in. Aku picks up the kill. Shex finds Blast, though, so this could spell the end of RoadHouse as they've lost Blast. It's just Aku going up and down. Lufka's gonna fall in just a moment, and it's RoadHouse eliminated. UAIM come in, play spoiler to the party, and Pot is still alive.
Yeah, Pot's still alive. This was what I was talking about. All three of these teams were racing to a building. UAIM got out, initially having lost a fight, got the reset, and then third-partied that fight. Now, somehow, Pot of reset here. UAIM have been eliminated as well. So the team who are holding on for dear life are the ones who survive. They are the cockroaches of the building. And even though it felt like the world was ending, they will survive and they will live and prosper to fight again.
Survive through the nuclear fallout. That's absolutely the way you could describe what Pot just did there. And I think sometimes in situations you just do a little bit less, and that just means you risk a little bit less, so you're not losing as much. I think when you consider the fact that RoadHouse had such a good position and they were the players with a man advantage, they definitely said we can be a little bit riskier here, but that did not pay off for them. Meanwhile, over on the other side, another building being fought for just as hard. It's like the California housing market over here. My goodness, NAVI underneath on the low end, trying to share this side. The very unwilling neighbors up on top with Mask and Shex, again, trying to avoid any of the damage coming in. NAVI, though, maybe a little bit less aggressive than we saw RoadHouse. And just as I say, that slab goes down.
I mean, I don't mind seeing NAVI try and make these plays based on their composition, right? They've got a Maggie and they have a Sparrow. So you've got abilities that can flush a team out of a building if you can get the damage done. So I don't mind them trying to be proactive, but you just got to make sure you don't throw opportunities away and throw a kill away. By the way, Alliance are having to scarp up right now. One player has been taken down. Hackers is trying to run around and escape to the best of his ability, but he's down to about 47.5 HP, and with Alonzi chasing him down, it might not be long for this world, but if one man can schmoove, it's gonna be Hackers.
That's huge. And you know what's actually really huge about that as well? Alonzi's not gonna be able to chase through his own ultimate. That was the decision, because now he's gonna get slowed by it, so you can see him kind of taking the arrow out, and he thought maybe the risk is here, but Hockey's makes it out. That was a heck of a play from Hockey's just to survive. We'll see what happens with Alliances. You know, if they're not out, well, there's still a chance for them to come back around. Endorse, another team who's been hanging. They were actually on the top side of these buildings. They saw all those teams fight UAIM and Pot, and they've just been on top. They decided not to get into the fray. That could turn out helpful for them later on as we follow along with Empire Gaming in trouble, lifting down. Vasate taking the Void Nexus back, trying to reset.
Yeah, Leffen's going to go down, though, so he's not going to be able to be brought back unless it's the manual way. The way that Hackers moves, by the way,
the
when
old school way.
There, it kind of reminded me a little bit of you after some adult beverages on a Sunday night post an event. I'm just going to say the only thing I can draw a comparison with, but it's certainly something to watch and something to enjoy. But this is kind of lay of the land, and it's pretty clear where the zone is going just from the amount of commotion and the amount of fights we've seen for certain buildings. I mean, it is going to pull over to the eastern side, so SJP2, they're going to have to move. ONIC, FaZe, everyone on that western side. But yeah, Pot, bang center of it. And that was the building that everyone was so desperate to get control of early.
Yeah, just even clearer now that Endorse, Ronin, where they had stayed, and right next to Pot is certainly where the zone is going to be going. Remember, GoNext as well, a team that's we've got to talk about is Juggernauts. We haven't mentioned in this game whatsoever. They've been silently kind of shifting towards the northern side of where the zone will end up after this round, in round 3. Underneath Galleria, they've got the crypto drone. They're going to be very difficult to push past, and that's what FaZe Clan have to find a way to do to get around GoNext from there, especially with the scouting of the crypto drone. Could be tough for Zane, Nags, and Cinetic to navigate that. But Alliance back up as a 3. You'll note that, Mark. We said don't count them out as long as one's alive. I mean, they could come back, and certainly they've found a way to reset and stabilize here before round 3 begins.
Before you get to E-Bank, you're going to have to go through this on the southern side at the moment, and a couple of teams are having a little bit of a scrap to try and find that access point. One difficult thing, of course, when you do get an E-Bank zone, so difficult to rotate into due to the chokes. I mean, Alter is going to help you get through some of those thicker surfaces and maybe create a little bit of an artificial way from A to B, but a lot of the time teams are going to be holding those chokes. They're going to have LOSs, and for the likes of TheHorde and Empire Gaming who are fighting here at the moment, it's going to be a tough rotate to make. Citadel Gaming, though, they've got a tough rotate themselves, and it's going to be Alliance, once again, who are in front of them. So this is part 2 of this fight.
And this is the key with Citadel. Can they find a way to do this quick enough? I mean, we know that they're going to probably try to be as patient as possible, make the best decision, but it is Alliance in front of them. So I would say don't try to waste your time. Get into the zone, take a safer fight. It's not a team you want to try to roll the dice with. VCGO as well. I mean, let's follow along towards the bottom side of our zone. If you take a look at your left-hand map, they're just inside, but kind of playing the less contested side in terms of teams already in, but probably the hardest spot to hold, considering that's where Killer Whales, CYBERCATS, Trojans, TheHorde, Empire Gaming, even Alliance are going to try to make their way through. So this south side, maybe not the best spot to hold, but certainly where all of the action is going to be from the teams who are late rotating into this.
And they're burning through meds at the moment as well. And when you're looking at amps, trying to see if there's an overflow, doesn't look like it. Certainly not a bottomless amp going to be picked up. So meds are starting to be a little bit of an issue for them. They're getting burnt through. And you're looking at the backpack here, 3 cells, 2 bats. It's good enough if you want to take a fight and win the fight, but it's difficult if you want to survive. And you're going to have to find a way to either win a fight or third party something, or maybe if they've got ult in the composition, grab a few meds off some death boxes. But for now, VCGO are going to be the next team out of the lobby. We're down to 17 as eBank is getting all sorts of busy.
Killer Whales, they've played with such confidence throughout this season. It's been great to see them continue to navigate this pro league, which can be daunting for a lot of players, and make it all the way to regional finals. Now they've got a chance to continue that story. Definitely would have been one of the Cinderella conversations if they can get a win here, book their ticket to championships. Empire Gaming, they've had a match day win. They took it in that game 6. And I believe it was on E-District that they surpassed FaZe to claim a victory. So one of the exclusive titles of a winner of one of our EMEA match days, trying to do it again here. Arctic, Fasate, and getting Leffen back up, who was down when we last saw them as a 3. And speaking of the 3, it's Alliance.
Very interested to see where Zone does pull here, because there is the potential for what I would describe, and I say that with a giggle and a slight evil feeling in my voice, because I was going to say a slightly unpredictable and evil E-District pull. Well, that's looking like what it's going to be. It is shifting to the eastern side of the main E-Bank wall here. So the surrounding wall is shifting away from the main POI to what you can see on your screen right now. And the likes of Pot, who fought so heavily for that building, NAVI, Passion, they're all thinking, well, we thought we read this one right. We're going to have to move.
And it is frustrating to have really risked so much. And you even look at RoadHouse there. They went out in, what, 19th or something like that, all to fight for a building that wasn't even going to be in zone. I mean, that is got to be insult to injury there for them as they're staring at this lobby on the back side. But Trojan, one of those teams fighting on the southern side, they've now made a quick rotate to the right, and it's put them in a position right where the zone is going to end, but it's not going to be given up easily. 9 Impulse tries to make himself known. Light finds Kazakh, and Hardeki goes down thanks to No-No, who's done so well in this fight and said no to the Horde as he cleans them up. Just going to try to survive. Void Nexus is out and has to give up the position, but he keeps himself and the hopes of Trojan alive.
And most importantly, it's the Alter who's alive, so he can drag his down teammates back through that Void Nexus. Anyone else goes down, might be a little bit more difficult for them to reset here, but No with the clutch stays alive long enough to get not just the kills, but also get his teammates back on their feet. And they also have a pretty good spot for where this zone is going to be pulling. If we turn our attention, though, to the western side of the zone, that's where we find ourselves now, back towards Energy Bank. That's where all these teams are going to have to transition to now, and I'm imagining we're going to go from 16 down to around probably 12 by the time that this zone does close.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could even be, you know, just kind of a friendly estimate. It can go all the way down to 8 here. There's so many teams outside of this zone, and it depends on how well Endorse and I think Alliance end up holding off these chokes. Pot's still in that building. Killer Whales have to pass all these teams, but first they've got to find a way to get through Empire Gaming, who are eliminated thanks to just the pressure from the G7 Scouts. So if that's any indication, Mark, Pot are turning away with their attention towards these teams moving in, and that is going to be very, very tough for people to move past, especially with G7 Scouts 30-30 repeaters hanging in the balance of their life and death.
I agree. I think Potter probably realized our spot's not great for endgame now, but it's very, very good for KP with everyone who's arriving from this western side. And if they can clear this side, So they're going to have a really good opportunity. Lots of kills being picked up here. Killer Whales looking to finish off SJP2. Last player alive is trapped up in that building down to around 3 HP. Oh, with a little bit of a hop, a skip, and a jump, SJP2 will go down. 9bongo will get that final kill. Killer Whales pick up some kills. SJP2 and Passion will also forwards. Here come Alliance.
Killer Whales actually took a really good fight there just to stay alive. Alliance, though, in the mix of it, unlucky, throws down the Watson generator. He's got a pylon. Constant shields and just pressuring forward with the PK. Oh, nice. Ooh. And he goes down even better from CYBERCATS. On the other side of things, Alliance will clean it up, though, and try to get Unlucky back. Seems like there's not enough pressure, but there's a little bit, and it's no-no. They realize it. Unlucky's going to crawl down and give just an angle effect, and Hockeys will bat up, and then they'll try to pick up Alliance with a little bit more health and safety. In fact, they're not even going to do that. They're going to play it even safer, Mark, and go take the Void Nexus. Very conservative, but I think, you know, Alliance have their mission set on trying to win this game, not just survive.
Yeah, really, really smart, actually, because you saw one player from Trojan, No overextended a little bit just to see if he could get a secondary knock, maybe finish off that knock, maybe just get a KP or two. But Alliance didn't know it was one player. They may have thought there was a full 3-man swinging them. So they play it safe, they play the numbers, and they play for that reset, which they'll be able to get. Citadel Gaming have lost Kaisha. In the meantime, Ronin on our screens right now are going to be the ones who claim that victim. But with the zone closing behind them, they have to go forward here. They're checking their corners. They know something is a little bit uncomfortable for them, but it looks like actually they might be pretty safe.
Yeah, this is where the danger could be coming in. NAVI particularly feeling it. Slab on that Sparrow. We saw him trying to hunt down Hockeys earlier, and it didn't work out. Now, actually, it seems that NAVI are the ones in trouble. But maybe with a little bit of respite can get back up. Hot. They held the building. They got some KP. You see 2 kills to Prestis, trying to find more with the G7 Scout, but that doesn't work out. It's going to throw the generator down. They've got this little corner to hug. Is it safe enough, though? That's the question, because Alliance is peeking over. I think the generator just got destroyed. Now Alliance with the Maggie ball coming in from Effect. Oh, this is big damage from Alliance's main fragger.
Yeah, GoNext just been eliminated. NAVI also eliminated in the previous game. So they're 2 teams who have been playing and putting up points pretty consistently so far. Pot now are going to go, and this might open the door for Alliance, the winners of our game number 1, to extend a lead at the top of the tables. 8 squads still remain. But with KP, 4 of them here for Effect, Alliance have already got a good amount of points on the board, but Hackis has gone down.
Running the Maggie as well. I think just anticipating that maybe there might be some ramparts in this lobby. There's a few, not too many though, but I think also just the building heavy play that can come through with E-District. Knows he's got a lot of potential, especially with the altar coming in to give them some flexibility on the high ground, the low ground of how they end up wanting to play these fights. Alliance have jumped into 3rd place, but it's still 1st place being held by RoadHouse, who have been out of this game the entire time. That looks like it could possibly change here.
Well, Ronin, will we be moaning for Ronin? That's the question. Will Nate be able to hit a few headshots here as they have to force their way into zone? This is a team, of course, who benefited from the shift of the zone from a more central E-bank looking zone to one that pulled to this side of the map. A lot of damage being done here. Alliance probably going to think about moving up on this one as Endorse will down to just Phoenix, who has to hit the Void Passage to survive. Phoenix also hit a Kraber, shot in all of that carnage, which now leaves that choke a little bit unprotected, and Alliance don't need to be asked twice. They will move through, and Alliance somehow now are in Godspot as Endorse will be eliminated.
I mean, it's just unbelievable the way they played this. Such great navigation from Hockeys, and this is why when you look at MVPs and you look at moments like this, sure, Effects at hitting it, you know, Unlucky is incredible, but Hockeys navigating these tough situations, getting wins like this, putting themselves in positions to win, that's what could be the difference. But right now, all of that just to be said that Alliance is ending up going down to tremendous amounts of pressure. It's going to be up to trying to reset yet again for Hockeys if they're going to have more to say in this story. Ronin certainly doing well. Nate the Great on the Kraber with this side of the zone. It's going to be hard for anybody to get past him, especially with Alliance and his sights there on the right side.
Yeah, Alliance lost 2 to Nate. It was 2 Kraber shots that took down 2 players, and Alliance have been eliminated, so the God spot maybe not so heavenly for them. A little bit difficult to defend, especially with the team still alive and still safe on that high ground, and obviously the Kraber looking over made it a very different situation. Citadel Gaming down on that low ground. You can see the frantic pins coming in from Nate as well. It's not just about what we look for kill-wise here for Ronin. It's about also where do we play next?
I like that Killer Whales have somehow also kind of been the last of this party. I think it's really worked out for them. Citadel Gaming have also played this slow rotate, and you see the zone, the way it pulled, the way it was congested from the very beginning. There's not been space, and that's kind of an E-District theme. Killer Whales and Citadel Gaming have taken advantage of that, and they've been slow. Alliance was also very slow, although they just went out with a bad spot. It was Killer Whales who had just a better position in that slow side in terms of the rotate, and it's Nate the Great yet again, finds another one with the Kraber. It has just been Ronin all day long on that opposite side, and it's really been Nate who's been throwing off the rotations, throwing off the game plans of so many of our teams trying to make it into zone from the west.
Yeah, one bullet makes a lot of difference when that gun and that bullet is fired from a Kraber. And all the difference being made by Nate. I said keep your eyes on him this season. God. This is why. Citadel Gaming eliminated in the meantime as Ronin now look for more kills. Nate is going hammer at the moment. Big damage output. He does go down. And ONIC Esports will be able to eliminate them. Now, Trojan, they have the zone on their side, but FaZe are pressuring them.
After the play with No, found a way to reset. Trojan have done some incredible things, but FaZe, we talked about their experience in LAN. We talked about the fraggers on that squad. We also talk about ONIC Esports and the fact that Zidane the Wizard can pull off just some incredible moments if you give him the space to do it. But right now, it's all FaZe Clan running in to try to finish off the two from ONIC. It looks like it should be, and it could be, a FaZe victory. It's a 3 versus 2 to line things up, Mark. Should be simple if they can manage it.
Should be, but the gen is the difference maker. Luckily, FaZe just got their gen back as well, so the interception pylon is down. They can play around this. They can wait for the zone to make the move happen. And FaZe now just have to finish this off. Big damage coming in. 2 players down and barely any health. It's going to be Nax who finds one. Zidane last alive. FaZe Clan, the last standing. They will win here on E-District.
Massive moment for FaZe Clan and the confidence going into a day like this. I talked about the fact that they have a match day win that they feel was stolen from them. A bad game, I believe, on E-District that allowed MPIRE Gaming to come into it with that status, and now they're taking it back again. A team that is certainly not an underdog, but maybe not at the top of our list of favorites. Well, they've made a statement here in game number 3, and that is a great sign for them as they take a little break and we start to transition to halftime, Mark.
I mean, the boys needed a Hail Mary. They had our Lord and Savior Daniel Gaskin talking about them before we got underway today. And that kind of game is what you need, right? You need to not only get out to a good start, but showing you can win games in this lobby. It's massive for your confidence if your only objective is to win today. So for FaZe, it's a massive, massive moment for them. And you have to wonder, is that going to be the catalyst for the Cinderella story to come true?
I love to see it. FaZe Clan, a squad, an org, been represented real well in Apex here. ONIC right behind him. Zidane and Yekui tried to do it as a duo. Couldn't quite finish it off, though, despite the Watson generator. Killer Whales, Trojan, maybe the two kind of stories to pay attention to because they lead the lobby in terms of points gained right there. First and third overall. FaZe Clan with the actual win come in second place with the 19 points, and that leads us to where we stand after 3. But these 3 teams, Killer Whales, ONIC, FaZe Clan, Mark, certainly high performers here.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. I think Killer Whales need a big shout out for the amount of kills they put on the board. 13 kills for Killer Whales, which gave them the most points in the lobby. So remember, we are chasing down 50 points. That's what you got to do first here in this lobby before you can even be considered as being able to win the tournament. And that's where we stand at the moment. Wow. 33. Killer Whales go into joint first when it comes to points with Trojan. FaZe Clan just in behind with 32. Could not be closer, though. I mean, RoadHouse 31, GoNext 30, Alliance 30, Citadel 22. It is, I love EMEA sometimes for that. It is so close between everyone.
I mean, tough day from Alliance, totally underperforming 6th place. I mean, come on, man.
Shocking.
I mean, 3 points, 3 points difference.
We've had 3 games already. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, talk to us a little bit about these stats after 3. It is really tight in EMEA, and EMEA loves to kind of keep these races close to the very end.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nail-biter for not just players, fans, probably even us, because we might get a situation where we see several teams cross match point at the same time, maybe struggle to win match point, and then more will start to join. I could see like 9 or 10 teams being on match point before we find a victor here in EMEA with how things have been played at the moment.
Yeah, it is one of those interesting kind of conversations where, you know, you get to see some of the parity as things go longer and longer. And we've seen games where I think Alliance had a match point win. I mean, we go back to the split regional finals that we've used to do. And it was just like, I think they had match point after 2 games, and then it went to 11. It went to 11 games and somebody else won. I think Kashera's team won at the time. And, you know, it was a big thing. But let's talk what we've got coming up in APAC South, guys, because guess what? It's halftime. It's time for a little bit of what you might have missed, a little bit of a recap of what we've got going on. I know that APAC South has a little bit of this, and I'm just gonna wait to hear a little more about how we're gonna go to that tape, whether we're throwing or one of you are gonna pick up on that. But let's go to it and check in on
me.
Yeah,
Give
okay, Dan.
I'll take
check
it
in
for
on
you.
a little bit of APAC South. Thank you, man.
Yeah, we had match 1 that was dominated by Caustic and Gibraltar in terms of legend selection, but we saw Deep Cross Gaming coming in with the counter comp of Dreams, utilizing Crypto, and we had Maggie coming in as well to shut down all of those Gibby teams. Now, match 2 was again Deep Cross Gaming at the forefront, but sadly their Crypto pick would be ripped away from them going into game 3. It was the most picked legend in game 2 because everyone was trying to negate the popular pick of Watson in particular. They go on to win this game for back-to-back wins, asserting their early dominance. And then we had match 3. We saw Deep Cross Gaming again in the mix, and they actually hit match point. However, it was a turn of tide for wins as Bearclaw Gaming took advantage of an aggressive comp to take the win alongside 6 kills. But it was actually the Boogie Boarders who took the most points with a 12-kill game and 2nd place. And then Newcastle would be taken away in Eda streak, meaning that match 4 would likely see a lot of Mad Maggie. Match 4 did then see an insane Maggie pick rate for her to get banned. We saw a Watson ban in match 5. Boogie Boarders cross match point threshold going into match 6. And then this is where and the final circle would feature 2 teams on match point, Boogie Boarders and Gen G. And it would be the Boogie Boarders who utilized Wraith to get into a position so that they could poise themselves perfectly above Gen G to not only take down a real competitor and of course one of the best performing teams in the region so far in Gen G, but it would be Boogie Boarders getting their first win of match point finals and doing it at the best time when they had already crossed the match point threshold. They would win the entire darn thing, winning regional finals, guaranteeing their spot at the ALGS Championships and becoming champions of this region. So Boogie Boarders top it with 84 points and of course getting the final win, but Deep Cross Gaming 2nd place on 86, Gen G with 83. So 3 incredible performers, and also in terms of like legend bans for the region, that is a very different set of bans that we will see in the likes of EMEA and America. So when you think about international competition, Rain Day, it's going to be nuts when we do get to champs.
I mean, early Crypto, I mean, the Maggie jumping in there before the Watson, that's all very interesting. And these starred teams, as you can see here, a Pro League winner, a regional finals winner, those are the 2 that are guaranteed to be going to championships. But since we haven't had all of our regional finals conclude, I mean, we're doing them for EMEA now. We've got Americas. This is champs. They all blend in. There's only 40 spots for all of our regions. These are the teams we believe should be going based on champs points, but we will have to confirm a little bit later. And, you know, I think that's very important because, Mark, you look at VK Gaming, that's a team we expect to be there. They're the team who won the most recent playoff in our mid-season playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, this is how the weapons were doing the damage over in APAC South as well. Surprise, surprise, Peacekeeper at number 1. Keep nerfing it, devs. We're getting there. Number 2, R99, Scout, and of course the 30-30 repeater. No surprise really for anyone who's been watching this split, even since the most recent patch. So yeah, the weapon meta looking pretty consistent across the regions here for APAC South.
Dan talked a little bit about the legend bans and what that meta looks like. It was Caustic, Crypto, Newcastle, Mad Maggie, Watson, Gibraltar, Sparrow. Dan, I'll just get a quick kind of bounce off from you. What stands out the most to you here about these bans?
I think the Crypto ban match 2 is the biggest surprise for me. Understandably so, because we've seen so much Watson from this region. I think people wanted to try and get ahead of it, but then that also opened up the Watson ban in match 5, and with Mad Maggie going in 4, because when Newcastle disappears, Maggie becomes a little bit more powerful, but then with Maggie disappearing, Gibraltar becomes even more powerful. And of course, it depends on what the map rotation is, and the fact that Storm Point came around for match 6 for Gibraltar to be even better and even bigger, but it's certainly different over in APAC South, and yeah, that excites me for things moving forward.
They do keep to a pretty traditional kind of 8-game match point finals, which we tend to see over the course of these kind of average out. Sometimes, though, we get these spectacular ones. You never know if it's going to be today in EMEA, in Americas, where we go the distance past 10 games, but that could all happen. We keep going until somebody gets 50, and then they win after that. And speaking of the finals, the moments, the things that you want to be a part of, the scintillating action, well, there's no better place to be than at Championships in Sapporo with us in January. After this, we have a little bit of a break. The teams get ready. We do our LCQs, qualify our final teams, and then it's all about Sapporo. If you weren't there last year, one of the best experiences in esports you will ever have. And join us for an even bigger, better, and more exciting second year there in January. Tickets on sale now. They went on sale yesterday. They're not sold out yet, but I'm telling you, they always end up being sold out. Over the last 5 days we were there, we had over 30,000 people in attendance. It's busy, so make sure you get your tickets now. Use that QR code and join us at Championships. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I want to make sure you guys know that there's another event coming in case you wanted a little bit of your Apex Legends competitive fix. But, you know, Championships is the next big thing in terms of our ALGS season. We thought we'd throw together another fun event that you guys loved last year and we wanted to do again. It's the Red Bull Legends Inn, ladies and gentlemen, and it's back in December.
Yo, nobody does it like us. The unstoppable. Let's get it.
We've taken over the Godfrey Hotel. It's different, it's unique, it's nothing you've ever experienced before.
The room was pretty sick. I hope all the competitors sleep well after we kick their ass.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Let's rock it. Are you kidding?
Everybody's dying the zone. Crook goes down to Timmy and Hal. I mean, that was insane.
It's Timmy's Legendary Lather, the soap that brings champions to life.
Yeah! Oh my God.
No. Live in the Godfrey Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Red Bull Legends Inn is returning this December 5th in Chicago, Illinois to the Godfrey Hotel, where 19 teams will compete live in an Apex Legends Duos tournament for a $25,000 prize pool. If you think you and your duo have what it takes to compete against Apex pros, signups are open now at battlefy.com/Red Bull Legends Inn to compete in the online qualifiers on October 25th and 26th, where 2 duos win the opportunity to compete live in person at the Godfrey Hotel in Chicago. Must be 18 plus to register, and more info can be found at redbull.com/legendsinn. Red Bull doing some really fun stuff with Apex this year, a great partner for us, keeping us caffeinated while we're at our events, supplying us with some cool moments like skydiving earlier on this year with me and Timmy and Hal, and also, of course, another Red Bull Legends Inn. You'll get to see an even more intimate and fun, different look at a competitive side of things with your favorite players and friends. And also, I want to make sure you guys know there's a giveaway going on. You see it right there. I like the skin. I like the Watson skin coming out. If you follow us on TikTok and on Instagram, Play Apex Esports, you comment and follow, and you'll have a chance to win 11,500 coins per platform that you do that for. It's going to be free to enter, free to join, and you might just win a huge payday in terms of Apex coins. So make sure to do it and follow us on those new platforms. We're going to take a quick break on our end, but I got to say hello to our new casters who are going to jump in as Game 4 is about to get ready. We continue on with our match points. Nobody on match point yet, but it's could be coming up pretty soon here. So it's going to be Vicky and Dan. You guys have a good one. Actually,
that's what you thought.
Like.
That's what you thought. But what we did is we got in control of the technology. Vicky and I rerouted the things together, and now we're getting ready for one of the most unhinged commentary duos in all of esports. It's going to be great, everybody. Welcome along. Vicky, very excited, of course, to cast alongside you. And the leaderboards set us up quite nicely because everyone is about a point difference from each other at the moment.
I'm not so surprised, right? It's kind of been the main page here, the script within EMEA. I feel like this usually always happens, and it's Killer Whales that right now lead the way with Trojan Tide right behind them with 33 points apiece. But then right behind them, FaZe with that 1 point. You guys just covered over this, and we are going back over onto E District with no Watson and no Caustic on set. They keep letting this happen, and we're gonna be rolling with it. 9Bongo's been going crazy. He's got like 10 kills thus far over the course of these last 3 games, as we get to see this nice, beautiful daylight flyby of E District.
We get to see FaZe Clan, who are going to be feeling all kinds of pretty right now after the previous win in the previous game, which of course was on E District. Now we begin to snake back through our maps now, so we're going to see back-to-back E District here, and for FaZe, a huge opportunity for them today. I mean, Dan put it perfectly at the top of the show. They have to win. Quite simply, they have to win here if they want to guarantee their spot in Sapporo. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very difficult off-season for them. Where the zone is going, though, it looks like we're going now south towards Humbert Labs.
I love what I'm seeing right now from FaZe, because you guys highlighted the Hail Mary potential from this team. Cue the music. Oh, and then FaZe comes in with not just that dub, but this is a team that has also been top 3 in these E District zones. And look where we'll be going on to that southern side, closer to Humbert Labs. Killer Whales maybe wanted to take that fight as quickly as possible with the Evil Harvester right next to them, as well as a beacon towards Ronin. But look who's also waiting for them over by Shipyard is going to be Citadel Gaming. So they'll also have that information as well as that evac tower that's right there.
Now, the evil in me decides and thinks that this is one of my favorite zones, because everybody is going to be second guessing what side of that wall we are going, because we do see end zones pulled to the west side. We do also see a lot of end zones pulling towards Humbert Labs, and I'm going to be interested to see here actually what side of that wall people decide that they want to play. And I think the majority of it, and the majority of teams are going to make decisions to play the Humbert side based upon there's just more playable spots. But if you decide to maybe roll the dice a little bit here, arrive late, or just play that western side, you could be rewarded with one of those evil E District pools.
That's when the clutchness of having an altar portal really comes through. And you know what's crazy? Imagine not reading the patch notes and then looking at this game and being like, well, there is 14 ramparts in this lobby and 13 altars. So we will see altar again, while we'll be saying goodbye to rampart. Just one step closer to getting rid of another control legend. And as a lot of other teams start scrambling, I'm already seeing Endorse trying to take a fight over to TheHorde, and more teams flying into this next zone.
Looks like teams are deciding for the Humbert side by the looks of things. It's going to be Trojan who's landing down on the low ground. By the way, what a story it would be for a certain gentleman who's playing playing Alter in this game to make it to champs with a regional finals win. Nasky, if you wanted a pop-off interview and energy, well, let me tell you, it will be something special if he manages to pull it off alongside Nono and Kaina today. So a lot of work for them to do, of course. It will have to be a win for them once more. Navi, though, take a little bit of fire here. They've been pushed by SJP too.
Yeah, I'll tell you, think we're a little unhinged. Imagine the Nasky interview if that really comes through, but that would be a great way to really end the day. But they still have a long way to go as we take a look at Navi, and they're already making that quick rotate from the south side of Energy Bank because they got what they needed, which is that servant beacon. And then the fight has not stopped here on E District. It is Endorse with a fight over on the high ground here. One of the teams rocking that rampart as they're going to be able to find checks. Lefka in the feed also gets taken down at the hands of a 30-30, but also you have to consider with the weapon meta right now, how strong having that purple choke on a PK when you're taking these close range fights are.
Endorse, they're doing a great job at the moment. They picked up a few kills. One player from Passion is currently scurrying away, pretending that nothing ever happened so he can try and get his teammates back into the game and try and get that reset. Another team who's going to be taking the longer route is going to be Alliance, but they haven't struggled too much when the zone has been away from them so far in the games that we have seen. Of course, already managed to pick up a win down on the southern side of Storm Point after dropping all the way over at Trident and Northpad. But for Nova Gaia, it's going to be a little bit of survey beacon information just to see where everyone is around them, as they have a pretty good spot here at top at Humbert.
Feels nice when you have a crypto without having to overcommit and getting that scan, by the way, as Cher in trouble. Thanks to that void, though, it's going to be able to come right back up to the high ground. Not even their own portal. Instead, it's going to be the team right below them, and While they do want to try to take this fight, this is always an area onset that scares me. It makes me clench a little bit because there's so many different open sight lines of the other teams that may find their way wrapping up behind them. Killer Will's not moving out from their spot over on that southern POI that overlooks Humbert Labs and even ONIC, as Trojan are looking to maybe see if they can get a kidnap here until Nesky realizes after the scan off that one portal, wait, if he gets it right there after text, can you imagine the craziest kidnap that would be? He does have that purple Evo shield, and it would help out Trojan considering they're still rocking that white Evo, as this is their POI.
I mean, they've decided to move away from that spot, and I literally saw it happening just before we went to the POV. I was like, Asky's got the rope and the duct tape out, and he's looking to abduct someone through that roof, and if he can take someone, then it would be an opportunity to get a little bit of a KP on the board and open up another spot. But look at these shots coming in from Taxington with the Hemlock, showing that you can still get it done with one of the more unpopular weapons in the game.
Love the Hemi, as Taxington is just gonna bunker down. Kashira gets shot twice, by the way. The 3-2-1 right behind him as Big Clutch goes in with a clutch factor. Taxington with beautiful suppressed fire off the Hemlock. I love seeing that weapon pop off here. One of the first weapons that I actually learned how to play Apex with. But with Kashira getting taken down, that's unfortunate because the last pair you want to go out first is your own crypto.
Yeah, pretty much prior to this zone as well. They had a great spot. And the difficulty is when you have a great spot and you're trying to reset, think of all the teams that are moving into this position, actually weaving your way out of the traffic, almost impossible. So it's about grabbing a banner, maybe looking for a Moby while everyone else is engaged. It's a tough knock to find yourself on the receiving end of, and Kashira is going to be pretty frustrated that he's allowed that to happen. They haven't managed to grab the banner though, but this is the problem. People can hear it. People know you're a duo now. They're going to be more than willing to take a few risks to see if they can pick up those KP.
Navi, though, already getting engaged here, too. Sparrow, Slab, by the way, it's not a drill. This is a Revenant here on their team. Hierarchy on the Mirage. Wonder how he got there so quickly after we were chilling out in the hot tub here, but nice nade to cover his back here. Slab's gonna be able to pop that ultimate for a reset before backing away. Navi do not like this positioning, as now finding themselves over by Vayak. They're trying to take this fight here. Nice R9 shots, but having to reload on top of having to pop that shield. As Ochako with the G7 shots, he just needs one more bullet, but he gets blasted the follow-up, as it is CYBERCATS, the first team to go in this lobby. And I have to correct myself here. I did talk about Trojan. They actually came super fast from Viaduct off of an evac tower. It's Ronin who are actually super safe within their POI advantage over by Humbert Labs. Over on the side as Alliance now look for a 3P.
Yeah, now we got to be careful here. They did manage to reset, and they do have an armor advantage over Alliance, but they've given up the high ground, and here's an EMP, which is going to slow everything down. Armor advantage negated, doesn't exist. There's a Maggie Ball. Take that one in the forehead of Jacko, and there's a follow-up from Effect. The wingman snaps onto his opponent, and Alliance get that first knock onto their European rivals here in Navi.
They're not alone, though. There's other teams within the vicinity that are not only looking to gatekeep them, but we know it's that high to low ground positioning. You have the high ground advantage, and VCGO are looking at this fight, shooting down at Alliance, who have to now forcibly play off that low ground, but it gives time for Navi to breathe. Thankfully, the saving grace that they need, but currently VCGO, being one of the teams on that crypto, will have the information with the crypto drone without overextending to see where everybody is. VCGO, take that portal right back. Imagine if a team was camping it. We've seen that done time and time again. As we see the scans coming out, 28 enemies within the vicinity for Alliance to make their next move.
Well, Hackers has managed to hit a survey beacon here, which is going to give them info on where how many and where these teams are around them. So now Hackers has the information he needs as IGL to make the decision, probably, I would imagine, to disengage and plan a slightly different rotation. It just seems too risky, a little bit too hairy to move through checkpoint at the moment, and by the looks of things, that's going to be the decision. Navi did manage to get the reset, by the way, and I'm pretty sure it was because they did have the crypto still alive in the initial duo. So they got the reset. Navi will be safe, and the hard work that was done and the ultimates thrown by Alliance ultimately end up really not getting them much.
Also really like how we see the amp overshield coming out for Navi. After getting that reset, you said it's getting a little hairy. Well, they're looking to shave it off at this point with Alliance now. Just trying to reposition, and after they're going to be able to try to get the reset, get the meds that they need. They also have to overlook the teams that could be waiting for them on the other side of this bridge, because VCGO, even though they did portal back away, are safely inside of buildings, still hearing this fight go down over by the bridge. And on the southern side of the bridge, over on the north side of Shipyard Arcade, is Citadel Gaming that do hear these shots go off.
Just to give you a little bit of an indication of where the zone did pull, it has pulled towards Humbert Labs. So the teams who decided that was where it was going, they're going to be the correct ones. Good shots from Effect, but good shots exchanged between the two teams. Hack is getting information, doesn't have the EMP available as yet. He's going to need around 20 seconds or so until he gets that back. Unless he can pop that ult Excel, but with the amount of pressure that they're currently feeling, Alliance, it'd be a bit risky to put the gun down and pick up the ult Excel if they have one.
It would help them out with Unlucky dancing his way like it's the Matrix. And you talk about Citadel, Nova, get the res right behind them. And now this is just free KP as Remix Powers comes in to scoop that up onto Taxington.
Uh-oh.
And this is great as Kashira drops all the way down. So Lavisa, he gets tracked though by that Sparrow.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Gaia, what are you doing? Tyler finds one. He's going to have to be aware of those health meds though. Remix Powers versus Kashira, who's fresh out of the ship. It's Tyler who has to win it, but is he going to be able to get this syringe off? Or he's not. No. It's over. It's a mess. It's an absolute S show down here. That is not good.
No, it was a player looking down. It was a player looking down for me over by the fence line, trying to find out, hey, where did Kashira go real quick? And then getting beaten from behind. Those things do tend to happen, but at least Citadel do get the reset. But as a duo thus far, they will need to use up that replicator. And since that respawn beacon behind them was used earlier by the Nova, now they have to go somewhere else and hopefully pick up a beacon.
So, a moment of calm. Hopefully a moment of clarity for a couple of our teams here as FaZe are on the outside of zone at the moment. VCGO are below them. Zane's trying to find a way to capitalize on some of the damage that they've got done. Max trying to hold the staircases as VCGO try and move up. A lot of damage been done here. VCGO are like super weak, and Cinetic will finally get the first knock.
Dancing around the knockdown, though. One player left. It's just a matter of time when you have a white Evo shield knock, too. But they got to look behind them.
Wait a minute.
Because they're not alone. Zane does go in for the shield swap. Huge. But it is a PK waiting for them on the other side. And you know it just takes two of those shots. And the third party could be waiting in the distance. That's why crypto is so important with so many of these Rampart teams. But you can't run away, as it is the solo of VCGO that picked that up.
Yeah, VCGO somehow survived. FaZe all over the place. I've got to be honest, in that fight, absolute mess from them. They get the first damage. They get the free kills. There was an overextender coming in from Zidane. As we see 100 banger from Hackis. That I think just caused them to think that there was more players arriving than there actually was. They all got kind of discombobulated and end up kind of throwing the fight. Anyway, Alliance have forced their way into zone just about. VCGO, Babylon's still alive.
No way, Babylon's is the griefer, the grim griefer, as Alliance get taken out at the hands of GoNext, but with subsistence from Babylon's here from VCGO. He still does it, and Killer Whales, we were highlighting their performance thus far. No dub necessary for them to get the KP that they need, and they're looking for this reset before they get inted on.
Well, King Victor and 9 Bongo are going to have to do this on their own. Naski trying to perform miracles for Trojan. And I tell you what, Kainer's alongside him as well. Naski's going to swing. The Peacekeeper is going to sing, and Naski and Trojan will pick up more points and now moving to first place in the overalls.
The choir is rallying up behind them here as Naski walking away with that KP, all going to this group that we were talking about at the beginning of this game onset. Now, Pot being one of the teams. These Sky Nades, by the way, from every point of view that we've seen, have been absolute fire. And Taskmaster, they're not going to be giving up this spot. Even if they were to get a knock, they're going to be sitting pretty right here because they're one of the teams not rocking the altar, so there is no portal nexus for them to rely on.
Look at Priestess saying, I'm going to pick up a longbow.
I like it.
Skull Piercer, of course, going to do a lot of damage if you can connect with some of those headshots. That's where the zone is going, though. We're going to the northern side of Humbert. So the teams who are down on the side, like Trojan, UAIM, for example, are going to have to move up as VCGO will finally be eliminated. Sayonara to Babylons. You did everything that you could. And down that low ground, you can see RoadHouse is still in this lobby. ONIC are still in a really strong position as well for this endgame. GoNext also there, so some of the big hitters, speaking of the longbow, are still in the lobby, as is that longbow. No. Do not peek.
Actually flitting to the name here. I love being able to see the differences with these different long-range weapons. Still, with the way that Trojan is positioned here, they're going to be able to take this jump tower, but where do you go at this point? Nowhere is safe. They're literally going to be taking this blind. Oh.
Well, Ronin just dealt with UAIM extremely comfortably and very, very quickly. Nate picks up more kills to add to his tally. What a day he's having so far. What a season he's having so far. Down on that low ground, you can also see TheHorde are waiting. Potter's still above them. And Potter's still in one of the better positions. If they can damage a lot of these teams who are going to be moving out below them. RoadHouse are eliminated, though, and it is going to be at the hands of MPIRE, I believe. Ronin trying to move into third party. What's left of this fight?
This is going to be a bloodbath, too, because only that corner of this Northern Humbert Labs building is in that next zone for these three teams that are trying to collapse on one another. Pot also waiting out in the distance. Ronin trying to look at them. Can they get a cheeky Kraber shot as he tries to give him a haircut? Drone detector to give him some more of that information, but one of the teams not rocking that rampart. Once again, they're trying to go in for a res. It looks like you can see the pings. They want to fully send it. SJP2 also get eliminated in the feed with 9 squads left.
Trojan managed to take height somehow on this building, a long way from zone. Maybe KP is going to be the focus for them. Already in the top 10, so they're going to be collecting more and more points as those placements fall around them. And speaking of falling, NAVI now down to 1. Xhaka left on his own. Yarka on his knees. On the Mirage, by the way. What is this composition? What is this comp from NAVI? Mirage, Revenant?
It's giving Aurora and the 3P now, too, from MPIRE. They try to survive for as long as possible. And this forces GoNext to back away as what looks to be the solo. Yeah, it's going to be Light. And now the solo from Uchako. They called him out. It's Light who was seeking him out after they were the first ones to engage on that fight before the 3P ruins everything between MPIRE Gaming. Upset about not getting invited to this one. And look at the Sheila seeing. Literally one of the worst nightmares, the worst sounds that you can hear when you're hiding behind a wall when you find one of your teammates down.
Anaski wants to throw a nade. I'm not sure where he wants to throw it, and I don't think he knows where he wants to throw it right now, but he certainly wants it to explode somewhere and do some damage. No. Having to deal with Sheila. Hits a big shot. We're going to have to hit a couple more here. Fuda is weak on the outside of this building. Trojan holding on at the moment. No down on his own as the Maggie, and I think, unfortunately for him, it's going to be a case of, I'll see you in the next game. Trojan will fall.
Hit him with a prime delivery real quick. By the way, a res right on top of their heads from GoNext. They drop down, and ONIC completely hold them off. Zidane with 7 KP. Oh my goodness, the kill leader right now in this lobby.
7 kills, 6 assists was that as well? Maybe even more, maybe I read it wrong. Whatever it is, if you've died in this lobby, there's a good chance it was Zidane who was involved. Up on this high ground at the moment as finally we get a moment just to kind of catch our breath. Ronin below them, the Horde still alive as well. Endorse with a solo, ONIC full 3, Empire Gaming full 3 as well. And Empire Gaming, as you look at the top left, arguably in the best position here.
This is such a good game for our bottom end teams, with ONIC slowly trying to close in the gap. They've tied themselves with 30 points right behind Alliance thus far, where our top 6 teams no longer in this lobby here in the overall standings. Pot have the Sheila in their hands as Prestis just sending a message, and that sometimes that's all you need. But with the final zone closing in behind their backs, they're looking to make some moves. You can hear the Wraith portal coming down. They know there's a team right below them, and they may not be alone, as the Moby also comes out to also give them some extra cover.
So Dan, 7 kills, 7 assists. Endorse eliminated. The solo will be dealt with. 2k damage already for Zidane. ONIC, one of the form teams, having won the last match day with 3 wins and a 2nd place in the 6 games that they played. Now looking to make a run in this end game towards becoming regional champions finals. The output of damage from this man, regardless of what you might think of his character, you cannot deny his talent.
I love seeing some Wraith gameplay here. And with the EMP too, you get to be in the advantage. But MPIRE are in a really smart positioning. They're trying to take the path less traveled by. They want to try to isolate this fight versus ONIC. And with the zone closing in, they have no choice. 4 squads left right now. And currently, ONIC have been popping off. They needed a game like this. They got 14 KP on set. As now you currently see Kizaron going to be able to try to pop that EMP, but he gets destroyed in the distance.
EMP comes in. Zidane follows up. Has to queue back, though, even though he did good damage. Make sure to play his life smartly here. Wants to force other teams to try and take advantage of that initial opening damage. ONIC, though, going to reset. But now they've got to be careful. Zone is closed on their back. And Empire are going to be forced to make the play onto them. Zidane's going to have to pop a battery here, but Kizaron gets the first knock.
He's got the overhealth, though. He just takes one of those shield cells to try to heal up passively. Here comes a Sheila, and they've lost out on the crypto, but it's just an easy 3P invitation as ONIC down to 1. MPIRE go out, and it is Ronin who are here to win. After they land here in this POI, we highlighted it. They were in such a safe spot, and they were able to walk up and take much better position to take the game win.
Wow, I gotta be honest with you, I got out of breath after that game. There was a lot of action happening in those final moments, and it's Ronin who stand tallest at the end of the game, at the end of back-to-back E-District as well. So congratulations to Ronin on that win as well. But I've got to be honest, I don't think it changes much when it comes to leaderboards. There's no one pulling away at the moment. It feels like teams are still picking up KP here, left, right, and center. And when we look at the overalls, I don't think we're going to have anyone quite hit match point as yet. But we are going to have a lot of teams who are extremely close to doing so.
You know what that means on set? We get more Apex, because this just means we are literally going
Love it. I'm here for it.
buckle up on set. I hope everybody at home is ready as well, because once again, just looking at this overall standing, with 4 games down, we got a great regional finals on our hands.
We certainly do indeed. This is building to be a little bit of a special one. It is certainly heating up here, and with 4 matches done, it's only right that we go to a quick break, because it gives us time to set up match number 5. If you're going to go anywhere, that's a bit silly of you. We'll see you on the other side.
his great work over the split. Good to hear him. And now we're welcoming you back into the tournament happening today. It's Rain Day and Gaskin on the mic for this one. I got it right this time, Dan. And I got to say, too, that this is one of those days where we have a little bit of a competitive top of the leaderboard, I would put it. Pretty hard to distinguish yourself up amongst the top 8 so far.
Yep, that's certainly one way to put it. It is it's very competitive at the top of the leaderboards, and it is certainly looking like it could be one of those days where we see a few teams trickle across match point at the same time, but then other teams will be there shortly after, and we could see a situation where 9 or 10 teams get onto match point at this rate with how closely contested it all is. But E-District proved to be pretty impressive for some teams, like FaZe got another win on E-District. All their wins so far this season have been from ED, and they get another one here. Didn't get it in match 4, but they did find it in match 3. And then we just see consistency across the board for teams that have done the same thing all season long. And certainly in recent history, I mean, ONIC, for example, what a game this was. The amount of kills we just saw from them in this match was unbelievable. And I think if they can continue to play that way, they could be one of the teams that first crosses the match point threshold.
You know, someone who kind of, again, I come into as a talking point is Zidane. And I think Zidane being the guy that lifted that trophy alongside Hyarka and Shako, but is no longer a part of that squad, formerly GoNext, now NAVI, has an opportunity to kind of create his own legacy here. At first, when we kind of introduced him, he was just this incredible standout individual player, but then he did it in the biggest stage possible. And that says something. I think when you jump into a scene, you get early success to the highest degree, it allows you to relax a little bit. You've already done what every single person in this lobby is aiming to do for the very first time for the most part. And I think now he's settled into this ONIC squad really, really well. I don't know why the balance is so good with Kizaron and Yakui, but I do think that it's allowed Zidane to highlight even more of the things that he does well in Apex, which is being in that level of a fragger where, you know, Unlucky in effect, they get a lot of the conversation. Even, you know, Zane and Nags at times as duos that are good. Tyler FPS used to be in that. But I really think that Zidane should be considered in that kind of top 5 fragger. He's clearly proved it in terms of his performance across the split, but I think also in today's lobby, 8 kills finishing off that game. That's pretty impressive, Dan.
And when you look at the teams that are kind of up there at the moment, they need to win regional finals if they want to find themselves at champs. So, like, could be huge for ONIC. Trojan, for example, who are in that conversation as well, would need to win if they were to find themselves at champs as well. Killer Whales, FaZe Clan. I mean, you've got all these teams that are hoping that we don't see the dominance from the likes of GoNext and Alliance. And it wasn't looking good in match 1 after how both teams played. And don't get me wrong, GoNext is still up there. They're on 38 points. They're tied second at the moment. Alliance have dropped down a little bit. But the biggest takeaway for me after these first 4 matches is everyone still has a chance. And that's all you need, that one chance that you could maybe win regional finals, or at least get to match point to give you yourself a chance of winning it and hitting that Hail Mary that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Something that's going to be interesting, though, going into this next match is the legend bans. It could all change right here, or we could start to see a pattern develop, because we are now seeing 3 of the controller legends banned. If Catalyst goes as well, we reset those bans and Caustic becomes available. And then we will just start to see the same thing happen where Caustic comes back in, then gets banned. Then we next see another controller legend get unbanned, then they come back in, and we will probably get the same comps game again. And that will create for a little bit more of consistency, and maybe people will be more comfortable in that aspect that they'll be playing the same legends. Unless we see teams maybe throw a few curveballs here with how the series layout works and how the maps come in, because, you know, Storm Point, you might see a lot more Gibraltar come up, so then perhaps Gibraltar gets banned instead. That could shake things up, but there's definitely the possibility that we could get a controller ban reset here.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, when you consider the fact that E-District was the second map played in a row, too, and the first time they've got to play 2 maps in a row, they found a little bit of comfort, but that also meant that teams that didn't get momentum on E-District were kind of still sitting by the wayside. Teams that showed up like RoadHouse, who still, I think, have about 31 points, right, where they came into E-District with, and have had 2 games where they basically haven't really gained much. Same with Alliance as well, not really gaining much after game 3, and have put them in a great spot. And that means that teams like Ronin have been involved. And this is the opportunity in the snake draft for those knowing how usually these days go. It's 3 maps, then 3 maps. But this snake draft means that, you know, if you're a great consistent team like Alliance with great POIs on the main maps, you go to E-District district, you're a team like Ronin who can take advantage of this, not just once, but twice. ONIC can come in like they've done before. Zidane, man. Cool out with those glasses, man. Looking like Zoolander over there. Yekui and Kizarone as well, backing him up. And I think just allowing the consistency from teams who may not have that same presence on Stormpoint, World's Edge, or more of the traditional pro maps, Dan. This is a great place to say, let's jump into that top part of the pack. And you can see it here and here again. GoNext also, obviously, a team that comes into this conversation only just slightly under Alliance in terms of their impact across the season. It has just been a revelation again and again. Every time these guys play from kind of Henchman and Light, they've been so phenomenal. And I would expect them to start to have their big moment. They haven't had it yet, but really neither have Alliance, Dan.
Yeah, it has been a little bit quiet for Alliance, but I think now we go into World's Edge and then back-to-back Storm Points. I think this is where Alliance could really benefit. E-District sometimes is a little bit more shaky for them when it comes to their map preferences. That being said, when you look across those teams that have just been up there for statistics, Ronin is the outlier. Ronin were like, what, 19th in regular season and just barely scraped through to get here to regional finals. And now they are up there within the same kind of breath as the best teams in the league at the moment. And they need to win regional finals if they're going to make it to champs, but they're giving themselves the best opportunity. And it's kind of crazy. One good day can change your whole season here for one of these squads. So I think Ronin will be very excited with how they've been playing so far. But at the same time, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. You still need to hit match point, because how many times have we seen teams like get to like 45, 46 points and then just struggle to get over that finish line and get to match points? So still a job to do here for them.
And I think the best part about this is you get to discover which is the hindsight moment where you look back and say that was really what kind of changed our day, whether we kept going and we got past that threshold in game 5 when teams were still sleeping, they weren't quite awake. Alliance and GoNext hadn't really popped off yet, and we were only 12 points away. If they can do it, it puts them into a conversation each and every game to get lucky. And what I mean is get the right zone pull, have the wrong things happen at the right time to teams like Alliance or GoNext who normally would have gotten in your way, but have just not had the right pace throughout this day. And I just love that Ronin, I think when you look back at it, have this opportunity on World's Edge. Dan, if I'm looking at them, I'm saying you've done it this far. This is the game you need to get on match point if you want to have a chance to actually win regional finals.
The downside for Ronin is World's Edge has been their worst map out of the 3. Only 26% of their points has come from World's Edge so far this season, including today. So that definitely isn't going to bode well for them. But on the flip side, for a team like ONIC, they are our best performing World's Edge team now, including today. They've gone up to, I think, 139 points across the season on World's Edge, which is 45% of their points. So I think that we have to keep an eye on them, as well as RoadHouse as well, another team that have been performing excellently on
wow, that would be one of the first resets I think I've certainly ever seen. We might have seen in Americas or EMEA throughout this year, but that's the difference. 11 points here for Ronin could mean that regardless of the reset, regardless of where they go next, they have an opportunity each game to shut this tournament down and claim their spot into championships. What a moment for McGlutch, for Nate, for Cracked. I think this is when you look at Nate's performance already. I mean, he's had some moments that have shifted games for top tier teams. He was the reason Alliance didn't make it into that final zone in E-District because of those Kraber shots. So far so good in terms of maybe that Cinderella story happening for Ronin here, but don't want to speak too soon because there's still a lot of work to do.
Confirmation as well, Catalyst is going to be the most picked here. So like last weekend, we will see a reset happening on our screens. It means that Caustic will be available again going into match 6. And then if Caustic were to be prioritized and picked like it has done in scrims, that would then open up another controller legend who was next to be picked on that ban list as well. It would be Watson, and then if Watson was to be picked the most, they would open up Rampart again, and so on and so forth. Now, it's not definitely going to happen that way, because moving into Stormpoint, there is a chance that Gibraltar could be prioritized a little bit, but definitely will have to be something we keep an eye on as things go forward. But we are going to get a reset here, which is very exciting in match point finals as we take a look at where the zone's going to be heading as well. We're going to be heading up towards Monument and Epicenter area, there or thereabouts, probably in between. You can see where RoadHouse and VCGO are currently prioritizing at the moment with where they've moved very quickly.
Yeah, this is a nice zone. I think for people familiar with north or northeast zones in terms of World's Edge, you know, Overlook could be the zone on this northern side that's a little harsher, especially for teams like TheHorde or Citadel Gaming. Pushing through Geyser, kind of running on that eastern choke is difficult when teams are already positioned there. But this gives you a lot of room to play. I mean, you get most of Fragment. You've got Monument now, and the fights are already happening there for Monument. And, of course, Epicenter, which a little bit slower, especially for those who get the top tower. But if you get it, it's a spot you can play in most of the game until you get to see where this zone actually pulls. Kearney on SJP2, holding down the low end, getting rid of some of those catalyst-piercing spikes. Doesn't want to get slowed or take the damage there. And Denze is going to find his way out just to try to pressure out Fasate and give them access to that outer corridor with the interdimensional rift.
I expect to see a lot of catalyst spikes in this game with 13 catalysts in the lobby, 11 altars as well featuring as well. And I think with the altar changes, it does allow these kind of resets to happen because altar isn't as popular, but will still be very prevalent in each lobby, as now NAVI have been changing back and forth with their comps so far today. We saw last game they had Mirage Revenant altar, I think they had in the previous, so they are certainly trying to change things up here or there to maybe catch up the leading pack. But they've gone for something a little bit more traditional, but still somewhat on the aggressive side, having Fuse alongside Bangalore and Sparrow. But with Yaka going down, they're going to have to try and get back to a beacon here.
I will say there's something to be said about a team just playing consistently. Still, all the action taking place earlier on. Still 20 teams alive. And you might just think that somebody's got to have died after this, but it's all just posturing, vying for position. Some teams like Navi already going down to 2, but no one fully out just yet. We have to blast back over to Monument as the action with SJP2. Remember Kearney and Denze trying to create a corridor to fight inside and outside away from the pressure of Empire. Well, it's a new squad who's pressuring them as well. And it's GoNext also trying to fight on the outskirts of Fragment, and they're going to go down. GoNext yet again falling down. They will not cross match point this match, and CYBERCATS will pick up the KP from that engagement.
And that's huge for the rest of the lobby. Seeing GoNext fall that early, considering GoNext were in joint second place, suddenly those teams who need regional finals victory are going to be licking their lips and saying, all right, game on. We can maybe beat some of the big dogs to match point threshold here and have our opportunity to hit that Hail Mary as we check in with CYBERCATS. And again, we are seeing a good amount of Mad Maggie, and I think that is going to pose us up. It's going to set us up nicely for Stormpoint, where there's going to be lots of Gibraltar for those Maggies to have a whale of a time. As Trojan, 40 points they find themselves on now, so they are 10 away from crossing that match point threshold. And I mean, what an incredible story that would be if we were to see Trojan win match point and win regional finals, especially the journey that Naski's been on in particular with all the back and forths he's had, trying to find teams, trying to find his way towards champs.
Bit of a risky Void Nexus there. Could have gotten caught out and no longer can use it if you're downed, which is crazy. So Nasky playing you can get summoned, but you can't take it yourself. So still had a couple of ways with his teammates there to make things happen, but a little riskier now with those altar changes. You're right. You know, I think Nasky's journey has been one that was different. You know, starting off with Kashera, I think many of us thought, well, is this the new home? But it felt like he just wanted to IGL, and that's what he said in his tweet talking about why he left. It was out there, put out there from both parties, and he just said, this is who I am, this is what I like to do, and I've always wanted to team with Kiner. Well, it's worked so far, but yes, if they don't make this regional finals run and get the win, they're not going to be at championship. So what a story that would be as well. Nova Gaia, great name actually, I really like that. And pushing through Kashera, speaking of, with Tyler and Taxington, picked up Tyler FPS, trying to find a little bit of an answer on the other side of Fragment towards Tunnel. And you can see it here, Dan. It's pulled just directly where it was already. So no big mix-ups here. It's going to be a very central zone for these teams. And look at how crowded that is already.
Yeah, not much extra info if you played for Ring 3 console here. So you might be regretting it at this point because you're saying there's not going to be any room to play. If you can play for Ring 4 console, that could be massive because a pull towards Monument or Fragment can be a big difference. You can see that there is a split at the moment, heavily towards Monument, I will say, but there are a few teams who are maybe forced to really hedge their bets it coming back towards Fragment. Likes of CYBERCATS, Trojan, Endorse would be delighted to see a harsh pull. It could even end up being somewhat central and closer towards the lava between the two, which does happen sometimes as well. So I don't think anyone's going to be too disappointed with their position at the moment, but once we see that Ring 4, that's when it's certainly going to be interesting.
If you look back at where CYBERCATS was, I mean, by the way, pace of this game, just incredible. It feels like there's so much action all over the place. But it's because of the positioning and just how tight it is. I think the early action with GoNext and CYBERCATS in that building, that's right on the edge of Fragment right here. Whether it's just experience or whether there's a little bit more to it, I think that area of the zone is a really safe spot to be. It's right on the edge. It could be great if it pulls, and if it doesn't pull, it still gives you a building inside where the zone is that you can make a secondary plan to maneuver towards the center and out of it with. So maybe the reason why GoNext was willing to risk it all, knowing how good of a spot that was, and CYBERCATS just had the better guns that day. Killer Whales having the better guns pretty much all day. Tons of KP from them, and they continue on with Bongo and Dejai and Victor.
Certainly is very interesting seeing the teams that are up there as well, with how much everyone needs to get to regional finals. Just to give everyone like an idea, that the EMEA teams that are pretty much already there: Alliance, Citadel, GoNext, and NAVI, and maybe RoadHouse. But everyone else is pretty much banking on winning regional finals here, as we check in with Alliance, a team that have slowed down a little bit, but they're also the #1 in the leaderboards. They're already guaranteed to be at champs. They don't need to win Pro League. They don't need to win regional finals, but it's more about doing it to show that they still have what it takes as they shut down Hardeki and they continue to hunt down this squad.
And that's the thing in EMEA. There really is, and you're going to see it in Americas as well. There's just so many stories that are going to hinge on one great day, one great opportunity that was seized. That's the beauty of match point finals, but it's also the beauty of the fact that this is how you qualify for the biggest tournament in the world when it comes to the ALGS. So just so much at stake. You can imagine the players going to bed the night before just thinking about, well, what if we were able to do it? My life would completely change. I'd be going to Japan in January. I could be competing for millions of dollars. My entire life could change depending on how I perform today. That's what is on the line. It's much bigger than just a game. These match point finals could mean a lot, and certainly Nags knows it, as he's doing everything he can to get his squad back up with a res beacon, and NAVI also back up as a 3. They had lost one earlier on, but they've settled in and just hiding behind this rock as Killer Whales make their way through the choke. NAVI on top of it, maybe waiting for a 3-2-1 here, Dan. But they get spotted out.
Do get spotted out, but NAVI with this comp can be aggressive, as you are going to see the Ring of Fire is popped out. Johnny Cash style, big nades as well coming out on the other side. So NAVI just having to stay very close to this rock. They've been able to deal enough damage, though, that they are not going to be pushed on. Difficult to try and close this gap.
Yeah.
Both teams just backing off and giving each other the respect. And the reason why it's difficult to close the gap is because the amount of teams that are shooting at you from the likes of Fragment. You don't want to expose yourself too much. Smoke's going to have to go down now for NAVI. Just give them a little amount of cover. And with no Rampart, with no Newcastle, it is so tough to try and create any fake cover.
This is actually a really good use of the Stinger Bolt there. It's going to force away Victor from trying to press onto the advantage that they might have created. NAVI will be able to get Hierarcha up, but it's turning into a tough situation for Slab. They're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and just get some PK shots. Hits one, is going to have to bat around the other. It's an EMP coming through. Killer Whales eliminated. Pressure still not relieved there. Going into a Phoenix kit, not going to have time. Citadel Gaming, they heard the chaos, the commotion, and they're going to clean up NAVI and send them back. So Killer Whales and NAVI both go down thanks to the pressure from Citadel Gaming.
NAVI did well to stall enough for someone else to join and take down Killer Whales at least first, but in the end, they both will fall. It hurts Killer Whales more than it does NAVI, as I was mentioning. I think NAVI are pretty much good for champs already with how things are standing. Same can be said for Citadel. It's more about just trying to put points on the board and get a better seed when it goes into champs as well. Because the further you are up in those leaderboards, the better seed you'll have, the better POI draft you're going to have when you get to champs. So there's plenty to play for, as well as, of course, the prize money from Pro League being higher up in those leaderboards as well. Now we take a look at that shift in zone, and it is going to be heading west. We are going over towards Monument. So for the teams that were hoping it moved towards Fragment, they sadly are going to have to move a little bit further into zone, as Alliance taking yet another fight. And we are getting teams that are closing in on match point now. Trojan only 7 points away, Ronin 9 points away, ONIC 11, and then Alliance 15 points. Still can be achieved here in this game on World's Edge.
I don't care about the altar changes either, Dan. We talked about them a bit, but just going into the practicality, the usefulness in these buildings in World's Edge for this zone, altar is going to probably play, I would imagine, maybe the most important role here in giving you access. I mean, high ground, low ground, so many of these chokes going to be held. Altar just eliminates that as an issue, and it really, really means you have to stay on your toes. It means areas that you think you're going to be able to hold, you cannot hold. And speaking of a team who feels like they can hold this area no matter what, they've been here from the beginning. What a journey it would be if they could culminate it with a win here in match 5 and a match point already. It's Trojan. Let's listen in to how they hold up on this high ground.
Later, okay?
I'm 1-5 on yours, by the way.
I'm 1-8.
Here, Connor. You ready to take the spot, okay?
Yeah, I can just double Q us in the lava and we go there. And you like bangled us when zone closes, pretty much. But we have to be bottom to do it.
I try to have a like.
Listen, watch out for Train. I don't want Train to just take our spot. For free.
I'm gonna try to have like a safe spot with my wall in the corner, okay?
We're not in on the bottom.
Alter Train is moving.
We're not in on the lava, okay? We're in on top only. You hear me?
Isn't bottom in?
But underneath it, it's not in. Underneath it, it's not in.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Only the top platform. But it's fine, it's fine. It's still good. It's still good.
There's a bunch of people moving north side.
Don't die. Just heal now. And I'm gonna do it on zone close. You might have to aim. Bang, don't shoot shit now.
We go really late. We go really late.
They're gonna fight over there.
We go in the lava, and then we go run on the lava, and then we queue up.
Go that way.
Well, Trojan don't pick up too many points there, but they've held that high ground. Things are about to get really interesting, though, with their POV, because they are out of zone, and they've got to make their way across that lava towards where they were pinging, that area that Phoenix is already in. And this is going to be really hard to do, Dan. The Crypto MP comes out. Phoenix and Endorse know they want to stay there, but they found their way into this edge of the zone, and it should work for now, but there's still so much pressure from Nasky. Trojan, they were in such a good spot, but they've lost one, and it's now Nono and Kiner who have to force the Dark Veil from Catalyst just to try to stabilize.
Yeah, they hope that they can maybe get those 7 points they need to get to match point threshold. As we check in with FaZe Clan, doing a lot of damage. Nags ripping the shields out of CYBERCATS, and CYBERCATS will go down. As now we check back in with Trojan, they'll be eliminated. Trojan will not be reaching match points, so our attention now turns to someone like ONIC, someone like Ronin, maybe even FaZe Clan, who are in that battle as well, as Endorse eliminated, and we're down to 11. The whole lobby just exploded as everyone tried to get into zone.
RoadHouse back after taking a break for E-District and in the mix yet again in these final zones in World's Edge and Storm Point. Almost at a top 10. ONIC as well. Man, they've stayed consistent. Oh, that triple take. That's scary. It's scary by itself. Those red weapons always are in Apex, but it's even scarier when Zidane the one using it. Taskmaster realizes he had a chance to poke, and the zone is still very unfriendly for a lot of teams. ONIC gonna have to move. Nova, Gaia as well. Ronin, though, damn, we talked about them needing to do it. I think they're in a position where they might have a chance, but how many points? 7 away from getting to that place where every game is a chance to make history for them. It just feels like this is the moment to clutch up.
5 of these 10 teams are within 14 points of getting to the match point threshold. So a win for any of those 5, they would be there and they would be crossing that match point threshold. That includes Alliance on 36, but our attention has to be on ONIC and Ronin at the moment because they are so close they can almost taste match point. But how many times have we seen teams let this moment just slip through their fingers and they don't quite get there? Because we still have 5 teams alive in the bottom 10 who could maybe steal this one away and stop anyone else getting to match point threshold and perhaps catch up the leading pack here. It's certainly something that is going to bode well for the teams who are already within the center of the zone. You've got SJP2, VCGO are both in fantastic positions. FaZe Clan in an okay spot, but they are currently being held out a little bit by the likes of RoadHouse and SJP2 as well. The FaZe Clan 12 points away from getting to match point, and if they can find themselves in a position where they're on match point going into E District, FaZe Clan could 100% take regional finals with how they've been playing on ED so far.
My goodness, it was just explosion after explosion, and Nova Gaia was the one who ended up in a combustible situation thanks to the P2020s ringing down the hammer slinging from ONIC, and that has put them to 49 points. The Stinger Bolt, maybe one of the only things now that stands in their way. It is 1 point. Another team falls, and it should be ONIC crossing the threshold very, very soon to 50 points and being our first team on match point here. But Ronin still in a fantastic spot. The only thing I don't like is how close, if I'm Ronin, Alliance is to it. Yet again, still on 49, and it's 50, Dan. That's it, our first match point team. It is ONIC here who have jumped and joined the chances of winning if they win next game.
Real question is, will they be the only team who reaches match point? Because even though Ronin are close, they're only down to 1. So with Passion being eliminated, ONIC are able to cross that threshold. They've got plenty of kills this game. Again, Zidane with 8 kills at the moment. What has he eaten this morning? Whatever it is, I certainly want to try it. Now ONIC trying to stay alive, but it's job done for them. Now it's about just trying to stop anyone else getting to match point. But Alliance might have something to say about that as Effect is able to take down 1.
ONIC in a great spot, actually finds a way to get a little bit of the mobile respawn beacon. If they pull this off, do they have a Dark Veil? Might just be the case. No, they've lost their Catalyst player. It's just the Crypto and the Wraith here, who's not had the same representation. But I got to tell you, 3 Wraiths in this lobby, 4 Wraiths, actually 3 Wraiths still alive. Could make a difference here. RoadHouse still comfortable. Blast on the Catalyst. Great wall off. Is going to force ONIC into some pressure. That is Kizarone on the Crypto. Ronin eliminated there. They will not cross the threshold for match point. So it's just ONIC still alive. RoadHouse as well with 38. SJP2 with 14. VCGO with 7. FaZe Clan with 39. And then Alliance with 43 points and a chance to win this one and go to match point as well.
Alliance may cross it as well. 49 already. They just need 1 more point, but can they actually get it? Effect and Unlucky need to stay alive here. All they need to do is get 1 more kill or get 2nd place. Effect, though, can he get that job done? There's knocks for them, but can they get the finish? Yes, they can. Alliance up to 50 will cross the match point threshold alongside ONIC. But the real question is, can RoadHouse also join them? Because they're still alive and they're looking to try and take this victory, but is there enough points available? That's the real question here. 7 more points they require. Make it 6 as they get 1 more KP.
There's enough, Dan. Certainly got to be enough here. I mean, you look at the point switch going from 9 to 12. That's 3 and 3 players alive in front of them. If they can get the kills, it's going to be it. 2 points away. A win will put RoadHouse on match point to join ONIC and Alliance. That's a great PK shot from Blast. We told you that they wake up here on World's Edge and Storm Point, and it seems like the alarm clocks were set well. Alliance will fall down into the Peacekeeper from RoadHouse, and they'll jump into match point as well.
3 teams on match point then going into match 6, and Alliance looked like they were falling behind everyone going into this one, but as soon as we get onto World's Edge, we get onto a more comfortable map. E-District was a little bit rough around the edges for them. They will join the likes of ONIC and the likes of RoadHouse. Now, this is far more important for ONIC than it is for Alliance, for example. For RoadHouse, they'll just be happy that they're still at the top because they can still get to champs just through points. They don't necessarily need the win, but of course, they would want the win as well. But for ONIC, they give themselves that Hail Mary chance now. They are on match point going into match 6. Can they get the job done and steal a spot away at the ALGS Championships?
And on the other side of it, it's a little bit of maybe a missed moment here from Ronin, who are 5 points away. They had such a great position for most of that map. And yet it was ONIC who kind of had to move in. Alliance who had a pretty decent position throughout that game, but RoadHouse as well, who had to kind of move in a little bit, that ended up claiming the most KP and thus the better positions after winning those fights. VCGO get 10 points, but they've only got, I think, 15 overall on the day. So kind of a uncharacteristic game for them. If they can keep this up though, maybe we'll start talking more about it. FaZe Clan, very close. ONIC, that 12 was enough. But Ronin, they needed 11 or more. They got 6. So they're looking to next game to try to jump into our match point. But let's look at the top 3, Dan. Here are 3 teams for this lobby, but 2 of them on match point.
Yeah, RoadHouse and Alliance both with incredible games there at the end. Alliance just kind of getting pinned as a duo, unable to do anything in those final moments. But it was the position the RoadHouse found themselves in. The Catalyst Dark Veil was able to give them so much space in that final circle. But of course, there's not going to be any more Catalyst going into the next game because they're going to be banned. That does mean, though, that Caustic's going to be open up yet again, so expect to see more of the gassy boy. You thought he was gone after his initial ban. He's going to be right back in the equation, as now we're going to have 5 banned legends. So alongside those 4 that you see on your screen, Caustic was also banned, but now unbanned going into the next game.
And it all kind of started with that fight that we saw. I think it was CYBERCATS and GoNext. It could have been Citadel, but I'm pretty sure it was CYBERCATS and GoNext. And GoNext got out of the table. They were leading this lobby to kick things off. 2nd place overall, and now 38 points. So they're going to want to be picking up the pace there as well. We have to also shout out that RoadHouse, I think the only team, especially in that top 10, but maybe in the lobby, that was rocking the Seer. I saw that exhibit come out late game and said, wow, look at this. Catalyst Seer, we're back in meta's old. And so I can't wait to see how this becomes maybe a little bit of some new tech that they bring out to future games. RoadHouse with the win. 3 teams on match point, Alliance and ONIC, and more to follow here, of course, in the next game. We're going to take a break. We'll see you right after this.
Point as we return here, the ALGS regional finals for EMEA. What an interesting game that was, Dan. We saw consecutively, it felt like, 3 teams hitting match point, crossing that 50 points that they need to then have a chance to go on and win the thing. We'll take a look at the final circle now. Talk me through exactly what happened here.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Catalyst. That's why Catalyst is getting banned, but you can see how it really helped some of these teams, in particular RoadHouse, were able to create so much separation between themselves and the rest of the lobby with the Dark Veil. Alliance also so much aggression at the right time, just when they needed it, because there was a big chance that Alliance didn't quite cross the threshold here, but they were able to just get one of these knocks, which was massive, because then when the kill was converted, they were able to get that extra point, put it on the board. In the end, they did finish second place, so they wouldn't have needed that kill, but they didn't know that VCGO weren't gonna go down, for example. But then RoadHouse, with the amount of space they provided, were able to utilize the car for extra cover, and then Alliance, they were kind of just stuck in no man's land, and it was just inevitable at this point. And RoadHouse, a team who is right on that bubble for qualifying for champs, are also going to put themselves in a position where they can say, well, not only can we qualify for champs via points, but we might be able to deny another team in our region getting that position via winning regional finals.
It's interesting as well to think about, because there's this knockdown effect, right? If a team who's already qualified on points wins regional finals, then that gets shifted down to another team. It's very interesting, because also you've got the other regions who have wrapped up. We've had APEC North and APEC South wrap up. They're going to be watching that car for the point spot total as well, hoping either they stay in or a team fails so that they can make it through to champs. It is very, very interesting to watch all the permutations of what's going to happen today as they unfold in real time. But enough talk about points, because I'll be honest, it makes my brain ache. That's kind of your job. Let's talk about what's happening next. We are going back to Storm Point. We have 3 teams on match point, and these are the legends that are going to be banned down. Cat is gone.
Cat is gone, and Caustic is back into the mix. Caustic is back on the menus, and I'd ask you, going into Storm Point, do you prefer a gassy boy or a shieldy boy? Because I think we're going to see a lot of big boys in this one. Lots of Caustic and lots of Gibraltar, which should open up a lot of Maggie as well, and that's why I don't think it's a guarantee that we get a Caustic ban here, but we have seen that pattern emerge in scrims where now Controller Legends just get banned until we get a winner, which could happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to talk a little bit about Navi's compositions, because they have been creative, to say the least, and I think, I don't know if it's because they feel like they've done enough for qualification for champs that they're kind of maybe testing the waters a little bit with some of these compositions. Maybe they've had elements of success, or maybe they're just thinking we want to play aggro comps to counter what we believe the lobby is going to throw up at us today. But the one thing that I would take away from Navi's performance so far, it just feels like they've lacked a bit of an anchor legend in those compositions, which has hurt them when they've had some good spots. As we take a look where the zone's going towards Launchpad, but what are your feelings on Navi and the comps they're running? Because we've got Crypto, Maggie, and Revenant for them this time around.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird comp on E-District. They went to something a little bit more normal on World's Edge, but I think that they're also noticing they are quite far behind the leading pack now and just need a little bit more of a punch, a little bit more of an oomph. They're going to have to play a bit more aggressive, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. They've already qualified for champs in their eyes, so it's about experimenting. It's about trying to find things that work for them here as well. Well, looking across the board, we are going to see 15 Caustic, so Caustic is going to get rebanned, which then will open up Watson, I believe, as the next legend. And as I said, the pattern may emerge now that we start to see Controller Legends just ban each game. So that will mean that you'll get a chance to be a little bit more consistent with your legend selection across the next few games. That is for sure, as we check in with Navi in this interesting composition. And it looks like they are being a bit aggressive, and it's on to GoNext.
Yeah, this is what happened last time we were on Storm Point, and it looks like exactly what happened last time. History is repeating itself, because Navi get the first knock, GoNext hit the Trident, and just decide to go and reset. I wanted to talk quickly about the zone, because we are going towards, you know, where Ronin are dropping, and I think there's nothing like being kicked when you're down. You know what I mean? Especially when you've been 5 points away, you're close to hitting match point in the previous game, and then you go to the next game and you get zone? That's gotta hurt them. That's gotta hurt, man.
Oh, it definitely hurts them as well, and I think that they'll be looking at this one and saying, I wish we had got it done in the previous. But good news for them is that Launchpad has seen victories for teams throughout this season, and it does provide a okay amount of average points, and the average points is 5, which coincidentally is how many points they need. So maybe they can cross that match point threshold, and maybe they can stop some of these other teams from finding a victory. But that being said, with us moving to Storm Point, this opens it up for an Alliance win every day of the week. Alliance have the most wins across Storm Point throughout this season in 4. They have the most points across this season in 180 billion, or how many they've been able to accrue. And I do think that the rest of the lobby is going to be quite concerned that we have back-to-back Storm Points here, and a huge chance for Alliance to take this whole thing.
I don't really know how to cast this, but I'm going to give it my best go. RoadHouse It's full GTA right now. Anyway, I'm just going to let that one pass, actually. RoadHouse now actually stepping out and stepping towards where Empire find themselves, and some shots that are going to really hurt Asate here through the grill of this fence line from Aku. Not quite able to get... Oh, as I say, that blast does get the knock onto aforementioned player. And VCGO will be eliminated. So a lot of teams in the vicinity, none of them really having to overextend. It's just VCGO who fall and get pinched between 3 different teams here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of teams now, as they fall in this game, probably realizing that a regional final miracle is probably not going to happen as teams are getting closer towards match point threshold or already on match point, like the 3 that we have. We have to remind you that there is still an LCQ that does happen after regional finals, so it's not like it is all be-all and end-all here at regional finals. There is still an opportunity when we get a little bit further out of these matches, but you don't really want to leave it to the LCQ, so it will still sting a lot if you don't get it done here in regional finals.
GoNext got some good damage here on ONIC Esports, and ONIC are desperately trying to get some barrels down, trying to reset and get healthy because they need to survive. They need to win this game. It is as simple as that to call yourselves regional finals champions. Kindness going to peek as the Dan does not win that one, gets the arm shield and damage chipped away. You're going to see a Gibby going down, bubble being used by ONIC. They are kind of desperately just trying to scrap for a bit of time at the moment because there's more than one team in the vicinity. Here come Trojan. I think there's 4 teams maybe here on the northern side of where this zone is going.
Ronin have been able to pick up 3 kills, by the way, so they find themselves on 48, 2 away from match point as well now, as Trojan also looking to try and close in on that threshold as well. They are 6 points away, and that's why you're seeing them being a little bit aggressive to try and find a couple of kills from the damage that's already been done here on this eastern side. There's going to be a few teams around them, so they have to be careful. ONIC are going to be one of them, and ONIC, of course, are going to play a little bit more reserved, a little bit more safe. And I was saying, do you prefer Gassy Boy? Do you prefer Shieldy Boy? Well, they've gone for both here. They've gone for Caustic plus Gibraltar, as well as the Crypto, of course, to give them extra information. We do find that when teams do cross match point, Crypto is a favorite because it gives you so much of the lay of the land to try and experiment with how you're going to move in your rotations, but also providing you info on where people are as well.
I think ONIC would be very happy of the decision from Trojan to come and deal with GoNext for them. It allowed them to reset. We saw them being under a bit of pressure initially, but now on that northern side, they have a building to themselves. And even though Trojan are alongside them and Passion are playing at the backside towards the Prowler nests, it's just given them a second. And like you say, with the Crypto drone up in the air, they'll be able to see where they want to play next, what teams are a threat, and essentially just try and navigate their safest path towards where this endgame is going to be going. Alliance hitting ring 3 console. You can see there, possibly ring 4 over at checkpoint. They're going to be just playing for the information game. The Horde are currently heading out towards a reset. I think that, oh no, all 3 are alive by the looks of things. Killer Whales getting a reset over at Stormcatcher. So pretty busy zone, and it's going to be pulling towards the southern side, it looks like. So CYBERCATS in a good spot. FaZe Clan on the backside as well, looking to hit match point. They're going to be in a very good spot for this end game as well. And you got to remember, if 3 teams that are on match point right now don't close it out, then there's going to be other teams that join them. Ronin, most likely. You've got FaZe, who were pretty close to that last game as well. It could get a little bit congested heading in towards match number 7.
Definitely a possibility we have 6 teams on match point when we get into match 7, if we get there. If we don't see one of the 3 win it here, because the teams that are on match point, and with Storm Point being here now, like, there is a high percentage chance that it could end here. RoadHouse, Alliance, ONIC have all done fantastically on Storm Point throughout this season. All have good conversion rates as well.
Unlucky's down. Unlucky's finished.
Well,
and it's the Horde. It's the Horde who get the knock and the finish. So Effect is out there on his own. No idea where Hackers is right now, but he's certainly not a passenger. And as the zone is singeing away, Alliance, our first match point team, to look like they're in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, I think it was a divide and conquer for Alliance, just making sure that they split up to ensure that they could at least survive and they weren't going to go down all the way. I imagine they will find a way to get back up to a 3, but then you are in a position where you're trying to force your way into zone a little bit later. So it's certainly not looking as comfortable for Alliance now, which maybe opens up the door for RoadHouse or ONIC to be taking this one.
Well, there is the respawn from Alliance. Unlucky to be back in the game. Doesn't really change too much for them because of the fact that they are so far away from zone in relativity to their drop spot.
The Horde is still hunting them, though. I will say, Horde hunting the Alliance. We've seen that before.
We certainly have. Well, Ronin needed 5 points going into this game, and like you mentioned, the average from this POI over at Launchpad is going to be 5. They're playing up on that high ground, so some KP should be available to them. Alliance reset. They've got about a minute and 40 seconds or so to work their way back into the zone. There's a car there for them, that could help.
They are really being held, though, here. The Horde setting up a barrier. So many jokes I want to make, but Alliance, it's going to be a struggle because they have to try and find a way round where they're not going to be able to be picked off. I think eventually Horde might just leave them, and yeah, it looks like on the map overhead, Horde are going to leave Alliance, but they're going to have a battle with the ring. Elsewhere, NAVI, we spoke about their comps, we spoke about what they can do with the aggression with the Revenant. Well, they've been able to find kills onto Passion, and they take them down here.
Yeah, if you get maggot drilled and then you hear the Revol popping as well, you're probably thinking, it's going to be a tough fight, boys. It was a tough fight. It was too tough a fight, and NAVI will be able to run over Passion on the backside of the Crowder Nest. NAVI were trying to have a little look. ONIC, got to be careful here. Got to get that bubble down. Got to get some barrels down. And the EMP going to come in here from Kizaron. They look to overextend to third party this ONIC, I think, and they have overextended. Zidane is down, and now you're going to have to see them hold. Look for this reset. They've got him back up. But are they going to be able to survive here? They are scarpering. They are running. They have no interest in fighting. They just want to live.
Oh dear, are they going to run into a little bit of problems? You can see No is on the other side, but he says, no thank you, and he leaves immediately for good reason. But an interesting fight because you've got NAVI who don't really give a damn right now. They're playing aggressive. They just want kills. They want to catch up. And you've got ONIC who are just desperate to be on match point, desperate to try and stay alive, get to that final circle to give themselves a chance of winning regional finals. And of course, with ONIC versus NAVI, there's a lot of history there as well. So quite the fight that we're seeing taking place over there.
Well, Alliance taking the more serene route this time in, and do manage to thread the needle up on that top left of your screen. They've got into zone using the Trident. The Horde are over at Stormcatcher at the moment, get a little bit more info where the zone is going. Oh, that is about a hard pull to the center of a POI as you've seen in quite some time. Launchpad, no surprises this time around. It is bang on top of that building, probably pulling just outside of it. But for Ronin, I mean, think of the KP that's going to come their way, playing up on that bridge, that big tower structure that kind of looms over the top of Launchpad. Their 5 points really should be guaranteed in this game to hit match point.
Yeah, you think so?
Only 2 now.
Only need 2 from they got a team wipe at the start of the game, which has put them in a good position. They've just got one more, being able to get one of the KP as well from the CYBERCATS elimination. So now they only need to survive to top 15 and they'd get an extra placement point. I think we're going to see Ronin crossing match point next. I'd be extremely surprised if they don't hit.
Well, let me tell you, Dan Gaskin, as a cricket fan, 49 can be a nervy number sometimes. However, they do get one knock. They just need to convert it. MG Clutch says, I want to push. I want to get the kill. In the words of Metallica, nothing else matters, but bigger picture here, they've not just got to get that point, they've got to stop teams winning who are on match point. Speaking of which, here go ONIC. They bubble Trident in. Kizaron is down. Noxgas goes down to try and keep them alive, but it's not looking good here for ONIC. They are out. Our first match point team will fall.
And Ronin did cross the match point threshold as well, by the way, so they can't win it this game, but they could be winning it next match if they get there, because there's still 2 teams alive that could win this whole thing, RoadHouse and Alliance. Trojan also closing in on match point. They are 4 points away, but struggling a little bit with one player already being down, and this area is starting to get a little bit busy. Everyone arriving now, everyone realizing this is going to be where the end game is going to be. Tridents and bubbles all apart, handshakes to be agreed upon as now Endorse get eliminated in 15th. Naski's just gone down as well, and maybe Trojan are not going to get across that line.
And somehow Alliance have got into zone, away from a lot of the activity surrounding them. NAVI the closest team to them, and they're eliminated as well. So all of a sudden, Alliance coming to life. The early reset that had to be made on the edge of zone, they do it perfectly. Then they find a spot in zone. Alliance have the game in their hands here. Trojan have been eliminated. No match point for them.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Alliance. Citadel Gaming also pushing in, also trying to catch up with some points here, and they do manage to convert a couple of kills. But as I say that, they've also gone down themselves. It is a 1v1, but it is going to be one out by Citadel. 33 points they find themselves on. They keep their hopes alive here, and they will hold the entirety of the south side of the map. The Horde eliminated, and the Alliance will take a victory over them at the moment. But with where the zone's going, it is going to shift slightly to the northwest. Alliance are not in that position, but Alliance are the only team on the northern side, which certainly bodes well for them.
It certainly does indeed. That is a very, very good spot for them. RoadHouse, though, are making a play right now for these rocks, and they're going to be the closest team to Alliance, and they're also going to have some free KP in front of them as well if they're not going to throw, and they just make sure they play this one carefully, which they do. Blast, just be careful here, son. Make sure you get back on your feet. Should be safe to do so. Lufka should be able to hold, though.
And I mean, RoadHouse will be hoping that the whole series ends here. Like, if they don't win, they're hoping that Alliance goes on to win, because I think that RoadHouse second place would still get them to champs, and that's going to be their main focus. Obviously, they would love to win regional finals, but they wouldn't be upset if another team was to end it here whilst they have this amount of points. The worst case for them would be if this goes on to like 9-10 and they start to slip down those leaderboards, and then suddenly you're like, do we have enough points? You want to guarantee it, and the easiest way to do that is win it here at match 6. I mean, with the positions that they currently find themselves in, we could see a final 3v3 of RoadHouse versus Alliance, because they're both in incredible spots. Empire gets shut down by RoadHouse.
The only other team who's really close to match point right now, or should I say the next closest to match point, is FaZe. 44 points on the board for them. Aku just found out where Alliance are. It's Effect who gets that knock. And it's the Gibraltar who's down as well. No bubble, no hope. And Aku might have just fallen at the wrong time here for RoadHouse to become regional champions.
Do they have a beacon? If they've got a Moby, there is still a fantastic chance here for RoadHouse. You can see Blast is trying to walk his way up a little bit, trying to get an angle. He's also just making sure that Alliance don't push on them. But if any of them have a Moby, which would have to be on the body, because I don't think Lufka or Blast had one.
They're pinging death boxes. I think they just want to try and look for one. None in the inventory at the moment. Blast is going to make the risky play, crossing no man's land towards this box. Is he going to find a Moby? It doesn't look like it, but he does at least find a triple take.
Suddenly that means advantage Alliance, but remember, it's not just these two teams. There is still plenty of other teams that can spoil the party here. FaZe being one of the big ones that you mentioned. They're on that eastern side, and they might be forced up to a fight against Alliance a little bit later on. You've got Nova and UAIM who are pretty central. Ronin and Killer Whales who are still alive as well. Remember, Ronin have reached match point, and now they just have to try and stop anyone else from winning it here so they can have an opportunity in match 7.
Question is, will Ronin be aware of the positions of the two match point teams? Will they be too focused on their own game in front of them? FaZe, by the way, still needing points. 6 of them. Down top Sentinel here. One headshot or a body shot might signal Alliance to push here and deal with the biggest threat in them not being regional champions. Lufka goes down. It's 1 alive now for RoadHouse.
Yeah, and RoadHouse, I think, sadly just fell victim to Alliance having so much knowledge of knowing there was only going to be 2 of them there, and also being in a pretty powerful position that Alliance would have wanted to take off them. Now, FaZe did take that spot off the back of Alliance, so as I thought might happen, FaZe are going to be the team that's most likely to fight this Alliance roster because they are shadowing them. RoadHouse will be eliminated, so now it is only Alliance on match point here in regional finals, and they still have a chance to win this whole thing unless someone like FaZe Clan or maybe Ronin can stop Alliance from winning this one on the northern side.
FaZe are going to take the Nexus back. Zane's going to get the shield swap off of the body. Now, what do they do from here? Alliance are holding zone. They are the only team inside of the safety of this next zone. Killer Whales dealt with, unlucky with a single bullet to take out King Victor to put them closer and closer to Alliance winning this. Let's jump into a quick listening now with Alliance.
Get the pin, yeah. Yeah, one speed jump, Nice. One more. Dead. One more. Almost stuck on nice. Are you good? Right. Yeah, I'm almost stuck one on the left. Hold it. Yeah, come back. Yeah. I'm getting out too. Yeah, no, can you come back? Yeah, I'm taking TP. Nice. Okay. Hold the pot, guys. Watch that. Yeah, no. We can shoot roof. Yeah. 9 headshots. Back one. Back to you. There's a cruise on that, right above us, by the way. Right above us. Break it. 43. No.
She's gonna close
And you can see what Alliance have always been talked about as the EMEA giants, and they are dominating this lobby.
They have a 40% success rate from top fives, converting those to wins here. The odds are in their favor. The stats are in their favor. They're also the best Storm Point team in the league, the most wins on Storm Point in the league, and they are down to the top 4 now. They have positioning. They have all the abilities they could want as well. They have the caustic set up. Maybe all the pieces are in play here for Alliance. It's just whether they can get checkmate.
Every single team is in front of them inside of that building. Everyone will have to take damage on their way out. Alliance will not get a better opportunity to close out than the one that currently presents itself to them. Hackis, by the way, with that Sentinel, has not been missing bullets. He has been chunking away at distance.
Citadel Gaming currently caught inside of this building, and they're going to have to try and find a way out. Now, we are seeing a team send it onto Alliance here. This could change everything.
This is Part who's sending it onto them, and OIRAIN gets that first knock. Effect will find one. Taskmaster, he gets taken down. Part eliminated. Hackis is down, but Alliance is still holding, still 2 up.
They have held strong, and now they can get the res, and I love this from Effect. Be aggressive. Try and stop the other teams from pushing up on you and do some damage.
Citadel Gaming eliminated. It's a 3v3 to win it. The gas is burning. Effect is shredding as Alliance go towards victory once more. Effect with 2. Tyler the last. Alliance are your regional finals champions.
It's Alliance again. Who else would it be but Alliance? On Storm Point, match 6, getting into the top 5. Everything was going their way, but the fact they were able to hold that initial push as well, a brave push across the zip line from the Pathfinder, but Alliance, oh, what an incredible game. I think they felt like they gave everyone a chance in matches 3 and 4, where they were a little bit slow on E-District, but I said it, once you get to World's Edge and Storm Point, Alliance just turned into a different beast.
And that was just phenomenal. That was the best of Alliance. I think if you watch that game from start to finish, that is Alliance. You know, they have no prio whatsoever. They have to travel all the way across. They have to reset. But then once they find that little opportunity to find a spot in zone, the way they controlled that was absolutely magnificent. And a shout out to Effect as well in those final moments, destroying that final team they had to go up against. It was quite simply brilliant, Rain. And we have our regional finals champions. And surprise, surprise, it's Alliance.
I mean, they're such a good team in so many different capacities. And you talk about individually, well, each of them brings this unique element to what makes a good Apex Legends player. You talk about Effect's individual skill. We saw him miss a couple of times. He proved he was human, but now he's right back to where we expect Effect to be, which is almost robotic in his ability to close out fights. You see Unlucky, and it's not that he hasn't been a great player. His pairing back in the days with Tyler FPS made him known as one of those top duos in terms of fragging damage, but he's just meshed so well in his ability to take direction and apply his pressure his way amongst 2 other kings of this game. And when you talk about kings, you got to go to the God Emperor himself. Shout out to Brandon Sanderson and Mistborn. I think the idea around Hockey's movement towards where they need to be in a final circle, it's just showing his veteran capabilities of navigating the squad, because one of the hardest things we know is when there's only 2 or 3 teams on match point, being one of those teams and not getting inted, not getting focused down. But with the way legend bands are and people running different compositions, and with the been there, done that, they got pushed and they said, who cares? Here's how we handle it. Fight back, run back at them. And that confidence in that moment, guys, just really set them up to do what Alliance does best, which is be the best team in EMEA, and honestly, one of the best teams in the world. They are certainly heading to Sapporo with an intention, and I think we can all figure out what that is. Let's take a look at the match results here. Overall, Alliance close it out after 6. It's a normal match day. Are you serious? 6 games only. Alliance do it big. 25 points, their biggest win on the day. And Nova, Gaia, Citadel Gaming, Pot, UAIM, any of the teams in that final 5 could do nothing to stop them. For teams like Ronin, you can see the heartbreak for teams like Killer Whales and RoadHouse, who were so close yet so far. There's going to be going back to the drawing board yet again to see how in the world can we take down these champions. Dan, taking a look at these final standings, it is again Alliance well on top of EMEA, as many of us expected.
The good news for RoadHouse is that with Alliance winning regional finals and Pro League, there's spots that open up for just qualifying via points. And I've said it a few times on this broadcast, RoadHouse were right on that cusp. And with Alliance taking those spots and offering them up to people via points, RoadHouse should, and I say should because you never really know what happens elsewhere in Americas, get a spot at Champs just via points, which is going to be certainly a happy series for them. But Alliance just showed how dominant they can be yet again in this region. They crushed the hopes of so many teams like ONIC, like FaZe, like Trojan, who needed to win regional finals if they were going to get here. And this is how the overall standings look then of Pro League in EMEA. Alliance win the whole thing, not just with regional finals, but they win Pro League as well with 159 points.
Mark, it's a testament to the consistency with which we've seen this EMEA Pro League develop into. And, you know, we said Alliance and GoNext, many of them, we had to pick who was going to win. Those were the two teams we said, and they show it. And they've showed it every single split long. That is now the 4th out of 10 match days that Alliance have won, and they certainly deserve to be at the top of this.
It's phenomenal. You know, they're one of the best teams in the world. And if you're having a conversation with anyone who watches competitive Apex and you say, who do you think are the best teams in the world? And they don't mention Alliance, they're probably from the Americas or they don't know ball. It's as simple as that, because they have been phenomenally consistent. You know, don't miss out on finals. They won EWC last year. The only thing that's missing is the ALGS win. That's the one thing that is missing for them at the moment. And what a better place to do it in the place that EMEA won last time around, to go to Sapporo and finally lift a trophy. And I'm sure that they're all dreaming of doing exactly that.
I mean, I just have to get, you know, every moment I can to praise these guys, because it is a very rare thing that you see a team be this successful for this period of time, find the right little moments to get into positions to win and then win. It is just not seen often in sports. It's not seen often in esports. It's just something you have to appreciate when it's among us. Well, it is among us, everybody. You're witnessing Alliance doing it yet again. So let's take a look now at the individual performers who were dominant. Our Sony in-zone kill leaderboard for the day. Yeah, and you guessed it. It's that robot effect at the top yet again. Tadon did his best to kind of stick with that, but a couple of slow games here, and the one game that it mattered let him kind of lose that fight to Effect. Unlucky right behind them. So 2 of the top 3 kill leaders on the same team. That's going to be tough for anybody to break through. And you could just see it, Mark. We saw him miss a little bit, but I mean, there's just something about Effect. I mean, playing with the wingman as well, a weapon we're not seeing very often used. He's just at a different level. He's just playing kind of a different game than most people when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it? And I think he's so good at towing kind of the line between aggression and throwing, because a lot of players will be aggressive, get some damage done, and then they will think, oh, I can get this kill, and all of a sudden they've got knocked and the fight's completely changed. He's so good at recognizing when there is enough damage for him to swing off of, to play off of. And I think that that's the difference. And I also think one good indication, and I don't want to give full credit to Effect here, because I'm not sure if this was a play call from Hackis as well as IGL. This play towards the end, they had to reset, but knowing that the other team had already fought, he could push up. And I don't know if that's Hackis going, push, Effect, put pressure on this team, allow us to reset, well, you can come back and we can take the space behind you. Or if it's him being proactive to move forward and think, hey, I can take this space, I can put pressure on and allow my team to do so, but he has the confidence to do both of those things. So whether it was a Hackis call or an Effect play call, it doesn't really matter. He made the right decision in that time and ends up with a huge amount of kills.
What I'm proud about him too, Dan, is overturning the idea that Effect was kind of just this group stage player. And I think all of Alliance have really, you know, it's hard to have a label on you and then to get past it. And they've not only done that, they've just pushed so far beyond it. And Effect is now showing it bigger than ever in those final games. 8 kills in game 5, 6 kills in game 6. That is not just like not showing up or being fine. That's actually turning it on when the lights are on. That's completely opposite.
Yeah, Effect has been incredible. Alliance, unbelievable. I think they managed to push off the group stage team quite a long time ago, and now they find themselves as arguably one of the best teams in the world, if not the most consistent team in the world, and they're going to be one of the biggest threats when it comes to international competition, and I'm excited to see what they can do for this region, what they can do for themselves, because they do deserve that ALGS trophy that Mark said is eluding them at the moment.
Well, there's no other person that I'd rather talk to after a big win like that than the man himself leading the charge. We've got Hockey's joining us from Alliance to speak about their ALGS win today. Hockey's, good to see you, man, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd love to know what's going on in your mind. I don't know if this is a win I'd say is filled with a ton of emotion for you guys. Obviously, you're very happy, but this felt like more business as usual. I mean, you guys have been so successful, 3 match day wins across 10. Now you make it 4, including the regional finals. Why have things clicked so well for you guys in this second split?
I think we're one of the few teams to figure out the meta early. Like, we are an amazing fighting team, but this meta is not about fighting. So, like, we've just been adapting, playing a lot of zone, like rotating around the map, like just putting us in really good spots. Because right now, the gun meta, the TTK is so fast, so it doesn't matter how good you are individual at the game. Like, if you just hit 2 bullets, then you can kill anybody. So, it's just a very heavy zone and rotation meta. And I mean, I just get to flex my macro this season pretty much. That's about it. And I mean, of course, my controller players are doing their job. They're amazing at killing everything around us, but you know, we gotta rotate a lot too.
I want to quickly jump in here, Hackers. Firstly, congratulations. It's great to have you on here, but I do have to ask, what do we actually physically have to do to get effect on an interview? Like, do we have to drag him out? Is it like a physical thing? We have to pick him up and like drag him towards stage?
Yeah, I don't know. Might need a bigger carrot for him to come on. I don't know. But hopefully sometime in the future.
I'll make sure that happens in Japan, okay? I will drag him on stage if required. I was actually going to ask about what the preparation is going to be like for Japan, because you guys are now so experienced as a team. You've been through, you know, numerous boot camps, whatever it might be. Is there anything you're looking to adjust going into Japan that maybe you haven't thought about before in your preparation to make sure that when you arrive in Japan that you're going to be in the best possible condition to try and lift a trophy?
Like, for us as a team, I think we have the base strategy down to a T. So I think we just got to keep doing the thing we're doing. Like, we just got to keep being consistent, got to keep taking care of our health, like our mental and all that. Like, I know my teammates have had a little bit of sickness and stuff, like feeling a little bit bad today as well, but still played amazing. Like Effect, for example, he top fragged even though he was sick. So, you know, just got to take care of our health and be consistent all the way to Japan. And I think we'll do great, because like the consistency and the synergy between our team, it is there. Just got to keep going.
Well, looking ahead to Americas now, because you've conquered EMEA, what do you think is going to happen later on today? Do you think that we'll see a particular team dominate just as much as you did, or do you think we might go a little bit further into matches 9 and 10, for example?
I would say it depends on the legend bands. Like, if we rotate ring console characters and Caustic comes back, then it can honestly be anybody's game. But I do think it'll maybe be a few more games at least. I think I'm guessing like a game 9 or something.
Basically, what he's trying to say for those out there is he doesn't think anyone's going to macro as well as he did to be able to finish so efficiently in game 6. And you know what? I might have to say that the tape agrees with you, man. Congratulations, Hockeys. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Go celebrate the win. And we will be seeing you very shortly in Sapporo.
Thank you for having me. And shout out to all the sponsors, fans, and everybody supporting us. I love you all, and see you guys in Japan. Peace.
All right, man. The next step for them, and we got to bring back Vicky here, who got to watch it all. Vicky, their first time to hear your thoughts after the big win from Alliance. 6 games. They treated us to a regular match day schedule. So look at Alliance showing how good they are.
Cool, calm, and collected, man. Hockey's the man that is there for business, and you can already hear it. Just not only being able to flex his macro, showcasing that for the last few days, I've even seen them in scrims, including today. That zone has not benefited them, yet they always end up making it work. And I love the shout out to his teammates, the 2 roller gods out here within the EMEA region, doing the deed as Hockey sends them out the way that he needs his soldiers to work for him.
Well, I love that way to talk about it. Hockey's actually with a real-life military background, so maybe not so far away in terms of a metaphor as you thought that might be. And for those watching here in EMEA, what does it mean now that the Giants, who we told you were on top of the mountain, stay there and knock off all potential competitors? Well, let's take a look at EMEA as it stands for champs, who's qualified, and overall, who still might be hanging in the balance, because coming up in just a little bit, with the Americas next, we do have teams that are yet to qualify and take some of those spots that might still mean these confirmations aren't exact. It's a trickle-down effect. So the only team we can guarantee is going to champs is Alliance. But that doesn't mean that Citadel Gaming, GoNext, and NAVI aren't the most likely to also follow. It would be very hard for those teams to not make it, Dan, but it is not confirmed until after Americas.
Yeah, they should be absolutely fine. I think the team that is going to be biting their nails will be RoadHouse, but I think that they should have done enough today, depending on what happens in Americas as well, especially with Alliance opening up a couple more points for those teams that are just in the kind of 24+ area. So they'll be waiting and watching Americas, as I'm sure everyone else will, because we know Americas is going to be exciting. Hackers thinks maybe it's going to go all the way to match 9, depending on the bans, but we didn't get to see what happens with the controller bans. Were we going to get the repetitive situation where we see ring console character removed, then back in, then removed, then back in? And if that does happen, it does create a little bit more consistency in the legend selection for teams, which is what he's saying. It might lead to just being a little bit more random and suddenly anyone can take it with Caustic coming back in.
It's an exciting preview and a great job today. Dan, Mark, I want to get your final thoughts here as we close out EMEA and head to the Americas.
A great day for Alliance. And I think our question coming in when we started this split for EMEA was like, it's a region rebuilding, right? Who are the teams who are going to be moving towards Sapporo and supporting Alliance, who are obviously far and away the best team in EMEA at the moment? It's just been proven once again. And I think when you're looking at that selection of teams that is kind of pretty much qualified, you kind of got a pretty solid group there of teams who have been there and have experience on the main stage, but also some new faces that have been producing results all season long. So for EMEA, I think there's a strong contingent going over to Japan, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch for the whole region, I think, going into Sapporo.
Vicky, I know we didn't get to hear your comms over that last one, but leave us with some final remarks here before we switch gears and get ready for Americas.
Listen, you don't need me when you have the Grim Reaper duo casting when it comes to match point format. You already know how it goes there, but I'm just waiting. It's just a matter of time before Alliance hoist their own championship trophy. And I want to be there in the front lines to watch it happen here, but they have to showcase that consistency over on that big stage in Japan.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye to all three of you. You did fantastic as well today, and there's still more day to show up for some of us. So especially those watching at home, Americas is underway shortly. We actually are right on time, believe it or not, because of Alliance finishing like this. So for those who are usually watching our match days, well, just stay tuned like you usually are. But what this all meant was that we are getting that much closer. One moment in EMEA being stamped and approved, almost finalized before Americas, of who is going to the biggest tournament in the world. Of course, I'm talking about Japan. In the snow to come watch ALGS at its best. Man, it was a beautiful thing. So make sure to grab your tickets right now. I'm telling you, if you listen to me about one thing when it comes to Apex, this trip, this event is going to be one that you do not want to miss. The QR code is there, and you might have some paid days off of vacation. Maybe you've just been wanting to travel out of the country and you're thinking, Spain, you know, Germany sounds cool. Oh, what about some tropical? Stop. I know it's snowing, but you're gonna love it. This is the trip you want to take this year. Use the QR code. You'll meet your favorite friends, and you'll see the people who love the ALGS more than anything else. Create bonds for a lifetime, see the pro players in action, and even get a chance to meet us casters, everyone behind the scenes who makes it happen. Of course, coming up as well, we also have some giveaways for our Play Apex esports social channels. If you don't want to risk grabbing those tickets yourself, we're going to be able to give those away on Instagram and TikTok. And coming up in just a little bit, we're going to hear all this information yet again, is our Americas. That's right. In just about an hour and 40 minutes, whatever time zone you're in, 3 p.m. Pacific time for me, 6 on the eastern side, the coast of America, you will get to see the best of the best finalize their spots in champs as well. And this means that there will be no waiting around to see who actually makes it. We'll have the results and we will be able to tell you who is going to championships after that. It all ends today. And like I had mentioned earlier, there is a way to grab those tickets earlier. If you follow our Play Apex esports, you can go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you're watching here on twitch.tv/playapex, make sure you're hitting that follow button. All of the information, even free tickets and cool opportunities around championships are available there. And there's an LCQ coming up, which if you don't make it, we'll get into that. It's a little too early to talk about, but it is happening on October 17th and 19th. Keep an eye out for socials. It's not going to be broadcast, but for the teams who do not make it, there is still a chance to be one of the LCQ teams, 2 slots per region that are going to then join our qualified teams for championships. So all that just to say, we got a lot more Apex Legends coming up. We'll see you right after the break. Thank you for everyone who's been watching, all of you who joined us for EMEA, all of our casters, crew behind the scenes, EA, Respawn, and the team behind the ALGS. My name's been Rain Day, and as always, never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all in the Americas.
Yeah.